Hey, how are you doing? I hope you have an amazing Saturday. And I hope you're able to tune in to my Facebook Live today. I'm going to be giving away another stack of silver. Right there, baby. Let me fix this thing so it's a little bit straighter. Using my brand new iPhone XS. Or maybe it's just 10. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too much Grant Cardone in me. 10X in it, right? But had an interesting evening last night. Got to hang out with Tony Hsieh. If you don't know who Tony Hsieh is, Google him. He's the founder and CEO of a little company called Zappos. Pretty cool, huh? My good friend Brad Lee says that power is in proximity. I think that's what he says. I think that's exact. But basically, you want to keep yourself close to, rock stars, right? And Tony is for sure, a rock star. So it was kind of cool hanging out with him. And I thought I would do this video today on, do you need good credit if you're rich? Because there's people out there like Dave Ramsey that says you don't need good credit, that just pay cash, use a debit card. If you can't afford to pay for it, don't buy it. And in my opinion, it's just a bunch of hogwash, It's all a bunch of garbage. This is driving me crazy. I'm kind of a weird guy when it comes to sound, and this camera's like sideways. All right, I'm just going to have to deal with it. Hopefully it looks pretty good. It's not going to make me any prettier. I do have the perfect face for radio. A little furrier face now. But I was hanging out with Tony last night with his alpacas at his little compound off of Fremont Street. What a weird place, man. If you've ever been to Vegas, or I should say if you've never been to Vegas, make sure you go to the Fremont Experience. And if you've been to Vegas before and never been to Fremont, you got to check it out. It is like no other. It is the weirdest place on the planet. But when I was there, I was talking to some of his employees. I spent quite a bit of time with his COO and one of his attorneys. And it was just a weird vibe, that compound. They got 30 little 18-foot trailers. Like literally the CEO of Zappos, the dude's worth over $800 million. His net worth is over $800 million. He lives in like an 18-foot trailer. And his executive team lives in this trailer park off of Fremont Street. It's so weird. But they were doing karaoke, and the alpacas were running around, bumping into people, eating carrots. And if you see my picture that I posted last night, you can see the black alpaca. But yesterday we had some winners. So let me read out the names to you. Abul Alim won again. I think that's the second time on the video. So he shared the video. He tagged a friend. And he hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. That's the rules. Tag a friend, share the video, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro, and you, my friend, have an opportunity to win some of that. And we've been giving it away all month. Yesterday I gave away 12 of them, and today I'm going to give away 5. So Abdullah Allah, I'm butchering the name. I'm sorry, man. Thank you for sharing it, but I just can't pronounce it. I'll post it in here. In fact, I'm just going to paste this real quick. And let me see if I can find myself on my other computer. There we are. And I'll post it right here. Today's winners. This is kind of weird. There you are there. And there I am on the computer. So it's kind of weird. Today's winners are, boom. today's. Probably spelt that wrong, but okay. So we got Christine Case, also won. We got Joseph True. Joseph won. Todd Eisenhart won. And Kimberly won. So congratulations, guys. You are now proud owners of some brand new silver. You just got to let me know or let Jason know what coins you want. This one is the Sic Semper Tyrannis, Death to Tyrants. Todd, you won. We got the Prospector. If you want a Prospector coin, we got the three-headed pit bull. This is the Apocalypse coin. People seem to like that. What else we got? We got 1854. I think it's a mermaid. Kind of looks like the tattoo on my wife's arm. No, it's a girl sitting on a rock. This one's kind of cool. That is the dude with the bear skin on one side and the three-headed pit bull on the other side, which is kind of cool. I haven't seen that combination with them both on there. So that's the official currency of the Apocalypse. So if you want a chance at winning some silver, tag a friend, share the video, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro.
The mermaid's exempt. No mermaids.
I think it's a lady sitting on a rock. It's this one right here. I don't think it's actually a mermaid. And then we still got Methuselah. We got some Methuselah ones.
Yeah, you can give that. I like Methuselah, though.
Do you need to have good credit if you're rich? So does Tony Hsieh, guy worth $814 million, does he need good credit because he's rich, right? And Dave Ramsey would tell you no. They'd say you don't need credit. Use a debit card, pay cash, don't finance it. You know, I heard Ed Leba talk yesterday on a podcast, and Ed's a cool guy. He runs World Financial Group. Don't know if he's quite a billionaire, but he's probably pretty close. And he was on my good friend Andy Frisella's podcast, and he was talking about his cars and his house on Laguna Beach and his 100-acre ranch in Idaho. And he owns them all. And he was stressing that. I own them. My friend Chris Brady and Orrin Woodward, the founders of Life Leadership, will say they own their property. They own their boats, their jet skis. And what they're saying is, I don't finance them. I'm not leasing them. But these are guys worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Do they need good credit? Do you need good credit if you're rich? And I would say yes. It's equally as important to have good credit if you're rich. You need good credit if you're poor. But here's the thing. If you're poor or if you're middle class and you don't have any money, it is going to be harder for you with bad credit or no credit to become wealthy and to become rich. It is much, much more difficult to become wealthy if you have bad credit. It's just a fact. I still have this horrible cough, but I did go to the doctor and he thinks I have walking pneumonia. Lucky for me, 7th time I've had pneumonia in 2 years. But I did get the antibiotics and all that stuff and some cough syrup with codeine. So it's getting better. But it's more difficult to become wealthy if you have bad credit. Much more difficult. Last night when I was hanging out with Tony Hsieh, CEO of Zappos, at his trailer park, and that's what it is, trailer park. Check it out online. Just Google Tony Hsieh's Trailer Park, Las Vegas. And his name is pronounced Hsieh, but it's spelled like H-E-I-S-H. Heish or something like that. But it is pronounced Hsieh. So it looks like Heish, but it's Hsieh. But I was talking to this one of Tony's good friends, if not one of his best friends, and he's trying to buy some apartment complexes, and he can't buy any more because he's maxed out on his credit, he's maxed out on his credit cards, but he understands true wealth comes from owning a business or real estate. And if you don't have good credit, it's extremely difficult to go from poor or middle class to wealthy if you have bad credit. If you have good credit, if you have great credit, it is so much easier to become wealthy. It is like a jump start. You know, if you're poor and middle class, you just got your job and you're making it day after day, paycheck to paycheck, just over broke, and you're trying to become wealthy, you're trying to become rich, and you have bad credit. You know, it's like riding a bicycle versus getting in a private jet with Brad Lee or Grant Cardone and flying somewhere. Yes, you can eventually get there on your bicycle, but it's a hell of a lot easier and faster if you have great credit. Now, how do you get good credit? Well, there's a couple things you can do. One, if you just got bad credit because you paid some bills late, maybe someone stole your identity, maybe you went through a divorce, maybe got laid off, maybe got sick, maybe you're just irresponsible. You know, I talked to a guy this morning. He's now running a $10 million company, and he hired us today to fix his credit report. And he had 5 collections on his credit report. And, you know, I don't need the backstory, but everybody wants to give me the backstory about how they got bad credit, especially when they're high net worth people. And so basically, he tells me a story, even though I really don't care. I mean, that's not the right way to say it. It's not relevant on how I'm going to get these 5 medical collections removed from his credit report. It's not relevant how it showed up on his credit report. But he wanted to explain to me. It was like he wanted to tell me, hey, Ronnie, I'm a good guy. I pay my bills on time. And so he went through this embarrassing story and how he was a junkie and he OD'd. And they admitted him into the hospital. He's in ICU for 4 days. And Good Samaritan Hospital brought him in, but he was basically homeless. He was a junkie. And so he didn't have any money, didn't have health insurance. So they hit him with this big bill. The state of California paid it. But the collection now, 5 collections are now showing up on his credit report. And so he went through the story how it got there. But it's preventing him from scaling his business even bigger. The dude's wealthy now. He's running a multi-million-dollar company, but he can't expand into other states because these collections, these little mini collections for the medical collections are impacting him in a way he can't get bonds to get licensed and registered in these other states. So what can he do? So he hired me, went to fortresscreditpro.com. He signed up for monitoring service so I could look at his credit at creditmojo.com. And on Monday, we're going to have letters go out. They're already working on his stuff. And on Monday, letters will go out. And most likely it'll be removed in the next 30 to 45 days. Unfortunately, for me and for him, he's been paying this company online a law credit repair company. You guys can figure out who that is. $100 a month for the last 12 months. They haven't done dick, right? They haven't done anything. Nothing's been removed. So it's going to make it harder for me to get it removed. But fortunately for him, I'm not going to bill him until it gets removed. And we'll get it removed. So what can you do? You can go to fortresscreditpro.com. You can sign up for credit repair. And just like with this guy, we're going to go in 30, 45 days. We're going to get it cleaned up. And that is going to allow him to scale even faster. Now, can he get a bond with having those collections? Yeah, you can. So is Dave Is Dave correct when he says you don't need credit? Technically, he's correct. If you want to become rich, if you want to become wealthy, if you just want to do better than just over broke, living paycheck to paycheck, I'm telling you, my friend, it's much, much easier if you have great credit than if you don't have credit. So this guy can get a bond. The problem is he's going to spend about $100,000 a year for a $100,000 bond. Whereas if he had great credit, it's less than $1,000 a year. So he can get there. He can get there on his bicycle. I personally would rather get in a private jet and get there. How about you, if you're traveling? So what can you do if you have poor credit? You can go to fortresscreditpro.com and you can simply sign up there for a free consultation, and we'll hook you up on some credit repair. If you'd like a chance of winning some of the silver, this stack right here, which we gave away 5 of them today. Share the video, tag a friend, hashtag FortressCreditPro. I'm going to answer some of these comments here. I know it feels to be embarrassment. That is awesome, Jeff. Let's see. Yeah, so you dropped the story and you got it fixed. And that's right, Jeff. Todd, you just sent me a messenger message. We're going to mail the silver to you. So if you won, if you're one of those 5 people that I said earlier that's tagged on this video, if you won, direct message me or Jason your mailing address, and we will ship this out to you Monday. It'll go out Monday, a little padded envelope, so you'll probably have it by, I don't know, Friday, depending on the government and how fast they can get that mail to you. But I know someone posted something earlier, so I want to answer that. Shared again, a different person was having this success with a friend. Yeah, that's true. Joseph, you actually, I think you were another winner today, Joseph, on the silver. Larry says, I got laid off, lost house due to foreclosure. I hired you guys. Can't wait to get good credit again. Yeah. Todd, if you're in Vegas, you can come by the office and pick it up. And come by the office and pick up the silver. 9155 West Flamingo Road. We'll send you the address. Jason, send that to him, to Todd. He's in Vegas. But, it's important to have good credit because it just makes things so much easier. I'm on this new iPhone right now. Here's the old iPhone. Haven't quite figured out how to activate it yet, but I'm working on it. And I didn't have to put up a deposit. I didn't have to go through a background check, credit check, or security check, or any of that other garbage. This house that I'm living in here in Vegas, I didn't have to put up a security deposit for the electricity, which is like $800 a month. Over the summer, it was $1,600 a month for the electricity. I didn't have to put up the security deposit for the internet. But if you have bad credit, you're going to have to put a security deposit down when you get internet at home, when you get car insurance, when you get electricity. Do you know your car insurance actually, if you have bad credit, your car insurance costs more? Did you know that? If you have bad credit, you pay more for car insurance. You pay more for renter's insurance, life insurance, health insurance. Because these insurance companies have figured out that if you have bad credit, you're a higher risk to them than if you have good credit. And Larry, it's perfect, man. Bad credit equals bad driver. And maybe it's not fair to say they're a bad driver, but there is a higher chance of a claim if you have bad credit. The insurance companies know this. There's a higher chance for fraud, and there's a higher chance for a claim, whether it's medical, health insurance claim, whether it's renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, vehicle insurance. Now think about it for a little bit. And higher chance they won't pay the bill. That's right. Think about it. If you're an insurance company, and this is why I bring this up, guys like Dave Ramsey say you don't need insurance. You don't need good credit. He's so wrong in so many different ways. It's going to cost you a lot of money. But if you are the insurance company, Todd, Mr. Winner of the Silver today, if you were an insurance company, would you rather insure someone who's got great credit, paying their bills on time, which means if they're paying their bills on time, they're probably under less stress, they're more responsible, they've shown you they're financially more responsible than someone missing their car payment, someone missing their credit card payment, someone who's being sent to collections over $21. Who would you rather insure? Someone who's paying their bills on time or someone who's got issues? If you're a health insurance company, who would you rather insure? Someone who paying their bills on time, which means most likely they have less stress in their life. Less stress. Less stress means less illness. Less illness is less claims. Right? You think about it that way. Because someone who's running from the repo man, someone who's afraid to answer their phone because it's a collection company, don't you think there's a higher chance they're going to be in a car accident? Don't you think there's a higher chance they're going to go to the emergency room or they're going to get sick? Yeah, it just goes hand in hand. The greater your credit score, the lower your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance, your renter's insurance, your life insurance, your bond insurance. That's all a bond is insurance. So this guy's a contractor in California, and he's trying to scale his business so he can take it to $100 million a year. And he's on his bicycle pedaling as fast as he can because he's got 5 old collections from when he OD'd, which is probably feels like a lifetime ago for him. And yet it's still haunting him. So we're going to go in, we're going to get the collections removed, and he will never have to share that embarrassing story with anyone ever again unless he really wants to talk about it. So not only are we helping him scale his business to 100 million, but we're going to save him from having to share his story how he OD'd and spent 4 days in the ICU because he was a junkie. Right? And I understand. I've been through all of it, man. I see names coming through here. I see a name right now that she went through hell, her and her husband, financially. And now they've made it. Now they're millionaires. They're living the life of their dreams. Oh, somebody's texting me, getting rid of it. Come on. But they're living the life of their dreams right now because, they didn't just quit. But I understand every single emotion that you have regarding credit. I've had every single thing on my credit report except the only thing I've never had on my credit report that some people have is child support judgments. That's it. I've had bankruptcies, I've had foreclosures, I've had judgments, I've had collections, I've had tax liens, late payments, charge-offs, repos, short sales, everything. I filed bankruptcy twice. I don't ever plan on doing it again. Hopefully I'll never have to do it again. Would I do it again? I would do it in a heartbeat. Because I know now how to recover from bankruptcy. Recently, we took a guy, he filed bankruptcy 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, 21 days later, we had the bankruptcy removed from all 3 credit reports. 3 weeks. His bankruptcy was removed, and he's back on it, baby. Had some business stuff go sideways, filed bankruptcy. 3 weeks later, we stripped it off his credit report, and he's right back in the saddle. But I understand the emotional pain, the embarrassment, the fear of coming out of the grocery store and having your car gone. I've been there. It sucks. When Michelle met me, or I should say not when she met me, but when Michelle and I started dating, I was homeless, I was jobless, and I was carless. I didn't have a car. I had a 1982, I think it was 82, maybe 86, Ryder van with 200,000 miles on it. I bought it for $1,000. Big, yellow, ugly, like 18 or 19 foot box van, like the U-Haul things. And that was my rig. That's what I drove around with. That's what I slept in. Fortunately, when I had money, I did a lifetime membership of 24-hour fitness, so that's where I took my showers. Now, it seems like a lifetime ago, but would you believe me if I told you it was only 10 years ago? 10 years ago, I was broke, broken, homeless, living in my truck, showering at 24-hour fitness. Did I hit rock bottom? Nope, it's not rock bottom. Dude, I grew up with no running water, no electricity. I got my food out of a dumpster as a kid. So that wasn't rock bottom. That was just a little speed bump, right? That's something that happened for me. It didn't happen to me. It happened for me I believe that it makes me a better CEO of the company. It makes me more empathetic for you, or towards you, I think is the right way to say that. Because I know what it's like to be running from the repo man. You know how embarrassing it is to have your employee call you and say, hey, there's a dude here and he just hooked up to your boat and he says he's repoing it. That happened to me. When I was homeless, jobless, and carless, I actually still had a boat. But long story, I got repoed too. But I've had my cars repoed. I remember going to friends' houses asking if I could park in their garage. You know, I would go and spend the night with them because I was sleeping in my truck, and so people would invite me over. Hey, I know, you're going through some hard times right now. If you want to stay with us, the weekend or whatever, you can crash. So I would ask if I could park my truck. This was back before I was in the Ryder truck when I had my GMC, before it got repoed. I'd ask if I can park in the garage. And they'd be like, well, yeah, that's kind of weird, but why? And I'd say, well, because I'm running from the repo man. You know how embarrassing that is? They already know that my whole life's upside down. But then to ask them if I can park in their garage or, go hide my truck somewhere before they repoed it, and they eventually found me and they repoed it. I ran from them for a while. So I know what that's like. I know the fear of going to work, or coming out of an appointment, your car's gone. I was petrified when at the time I was selling real estate for Exit Realty in Colorado Springs. I was petrified I would go on a listing appointment and the repo man would follow me and I would come out, and the repo man's hooking up to it when I'm doing a listing appointment, trying to sell their house, and yet I can't make the car payment on my truck. See, but here I am. I'm feeling like I need to justify why couldn't I make the payment? But I'm not going to. But I know what it's like to feel, and that's why we let the clients tell us, if they really want to tell us. But we tell them up front, hey, if you don't want to share why your credit got this way, you don't have to. It's irrelevant to how we're going to get it removed. It doesn't make a difference how we're going to get it removed. So you don't have to tell us that you OD'd and you were a junkie. Or you cheated on your wife and she found out and she kicked you out and took everything, right? You don't have to go through that embarrassment. Just simply let us do our thing and we'll fix your credit. And in his case, when he OD'd, he went to this hospital and the 5 collections, each one had a different date. And the date needs to be the date of service. And so they had date opened on his credit report 5 different dates because it was 5 different collections. And with that's how I'm going to go and remove it. And he hired this other company, this law company online, and they've been disputing it, saying this account's not mine. I was never late. I don't owe you any money. Who are you? Why are you bothering me? All that other nonsense that these guys do. I say nonsense because this is what these other credit repair companies do. If they were professional, they would write one letter and get it removed. Now, sometimes it takes more than one letter. But what we're going to do is we are going to dispute the open date, when that collection was opened, because it's wrong. There's 5 different days on these 5 accounts. One of them, obviously it can't be all 5. And when I asked him, he said, oh no, that wasn't even in July or June. It was this month. So that's how we're going to dispute it. And they have to now prove that the information they're reporting to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion is accurate. Now, how do you prove that information is accurate? Well, you got to show some hospital receipts. You got to show admittance or something, which is then going to prove that the date open is inaccurate and they're going to have to remove it. And most likely they're not going to get that data anyway because the hospital can't share that with the collection company. See how that works? In order for them to leave it on there, they have to prove it's accurate. Yet, they're not going to be able to prove it's accurate because the hospital can't legally share it with them. Because in order for the hospital to do it, there's going to have to be a contract between them. And most likely, there is no contract. It was simply on a spreadsheet and just sent to them. Sorry, the coding in the descriptions makes my nose itch from my cough. Joe says, when's my VT platform coming up? It is up now. We're not giving anybody access to it. If you want to check it out, it's credithacks.com. Credithacks.com. We're actually doing all the videos. We have 23 of them done already, and they're being edited as I sit here with you and speak. So I would think probably January 1st we'll go live. I got to sit down with Brad. Brad Lee, for you that's on here that don't know what Lightspeed VT is or my VT platform is, Brad Lee owns Lightspeed VT here in Las Vegas. It is the world's greatest virtual training platform. And I have a platform. That's what Grant Cardone uses, Damon John, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy. The greatest of the greats use this. And it is by far the best platform out there, lightspeedvt.com. So if you have a product and you want to be able to train people, that's where you go, is Lightspeed VT. Mr. Brad Lee can help you. You can tag him here if you want a consultation with him or whatever. He's on here. But that'll probably come out in January. I just got to finish up with some videos. We were going to start last week, but with this cough and walking pneumonia, I coughed so much I kind of pulled some muscles in my ribs, so I laid in bed for a week, doped up on muscle relaxers and other pain pills, so I didn't get all my videos done. But yeah, so the cough is just branding for Credit Hacks. That's right. But that's going to come out. But it's literally it's an interactive video. We did a whole bunch of them And Brad sat down with me. He's like, man, you got to make this interactive because it's just you just like throwing this stuff at him. Dude, you got to make it interactive. And so he showed me how he's going to turn me into a hologram, which is pretty freaking cool. And then with that, I'm going to be able to walk through and interact with you. And we're just trying to figure out the price point right now. So essentially the way to work is you'll get a username and password to credithacks.com. You'll log in. I'll do a little welcome video. Hey, Joseph. Obviously, I can't say your name because it's for everybody, but I'll say, hey, good to see you on here. I got a few questions to ask you to make this experience better. And the way you answer it will determine how I set this up for you. So you'll literally sit there on your phone, your iPad, your Crackberry, your Blackberry, your Blueberry, whatever you're using, your computer even, and it's going to say, how many credit cards do you have? 1, 2, or 3 or more? And you're going to click one of those buttons. And depending on what you click will determine the next video and what you'll see from me. You click one, I'll say something like, hey, that's a great start, but in order to have great credit, you need to have at least 3 open credit cards. So one of the things you're going to want to do is to get 3, at least 2 more credit cards. And in the app, we have access to other credit cards that you can get, or you can go to creditkarma.com, so on and so forth. And so depending on how you click on those videos will determine what you see versus just going in and there's thousands of videos. And that's one of the things with Cardone University. Grant's got over 2,000 videos in there. And they're awesome. They're absolutely incredible videos. The problem is it's overwhelming. I mean, there's shit in there that I haven't even clicked on yet. I'm just being real. Because there's just so much. And what would be great with Cardone's people is if they would say, hey, here's where you start. Here's the area that you need to start with. Start with this section, this section. Instead, they just give you username and password and knock yourself out. There's 2,000 videos. And this is what I'm trying not to have. Yeah, we're going to have hundreds of videos, but I want to move you through a funnel and put you on a path for what's in it, what's best for you. So one of those questions will be, do you want to buy a house in the next 12 months? Why are you wanting to fix your credit? Is it to buy a house? Is it to get a new credit card? Is it to get a new car? What is it? What's the reason you want to fix your credit? And then that will determine the videos. So if you're a real estate agent or a mortgage broker and you send someone to me and they go to Credit Hacks and I know they're going to watch, they want to buy a house, I'm going to have a whole different set of videos for them. One of them will be, hey, you're in the process of buying a house. One of the things that you need to do is do not apply for new credit. Don't go buy any more furniture. Don't go buy any new cars. Just chill until you get the house. And so I will be able to take all the stuff that the real estate agents and the mortgage brokers want to tell their clients, but the clients can't remember, and put it in the video. So that's what Credit Hacks is about. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to get them all done. It is going to be, this is never going to be completed. I'll constantly be adding more and more stuff to it. And there's going to be stuff how to recover from identity theft, how to fix your own credit will be in there. Yeah, I own a credit repair company, but if I could teach you how to do it, wouldn't that be better if I could teach you how to do it versus just doing it for you? I think it'd be good. Let's see what you said. Everybody should have VT. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so your mom has a VT platform for top chefs. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. You said, Joe, you completed Cardone U. How did you complete Cardone U? You watched all 2,000 plus videos? Is that what you mean by you completed it? Let's see, I saw some more comments here. Just kind of chilling on a Saturday. I hope you guys don't mind. I know the video's long, but hey, if you keep asking things, I'll keep giving. While you guys are working on my file, should I get a secured card? Yes. Yeah, Larry, you should. FortressCreditPro.com cards, I think it is. It could be / credit cards. Here, let me look real quick. For all of you, if you have credit issues, you want to, where's my mouse? Here it is. You want to get credit cards as fast as possible. Secured cards, there is no real difference between how a secured card reports and an unsecured card reports. So fortresscreditpro.com / cards, I think is what it is. Nope. Oh, I spelled the cards wrong. Are you guys having that issue with your phones where you put in I, capital I, and it changes it to lowercase I? It's freaking driving me crazy. Makes me look even worse than I normally type, right? Maybe it's credit cards. All right, let me just go to the link. I'm doing things the hard way. Do you ever find yourself doing that the hard way? If you go over to the right-hand side, it's credit cards. Right-hand side of the webpage, there's a little bar. It's fortresscreditpro.com credit cards dash. I'll post this in here right now. Oh, I just realized that those winners did not show up. There it is, right there. So today's winners for the video, for sharing the video, tagging a friend, and hashtagging Fortress Credit Pro were Christina Case, Joseph True, Todd Eisenhart, Kimberly Tavernia, which that's my cousin Kimberly. And there was one more person, Abdul something. Oh, there it is. Oh, it didn't tag him, but Abdul Alim. I know I just butchered that. Sorry, dude. But secured credit cards are the way to go if you have bad credit. If you want to check it out, if you don't want to do a secured, you can also go to creditkarma.com. I don't get paid anything if you go to creditkarma.com. There's no affiliate link or anything like that. I'm just telling you that because it's a good spot to start with. They'll give you some ideas on the cards you qualify for. But yes, to answer your question, should you get a card? Yes. I'll give the guy I was talking about yesterday. We fixed everything on his credit, and he called pissed off because he now has no credit. Because all he had was bad credit, and we deleted all his bad credit, and he didn't follow our advice and establish new credit. See, when I delete everything, that's about 150 points. It's 35% of your credit score. 35% is payment history. If I delete all of your bad payment history, it's about 150 points or 35%. Which means there's another 65% that you need to take care of. I can't get you credit cards. I can't get you loans. You have to get off your ass and fill out the application. That's what I tell this dude. Stop making excuses. Just fill out the damn application at creditkarma.com and get some cards. And he's like, I don't want any credit cards. They're from the devil. Dave Ramsey says I shouldn't have them. I'm like, then suffer the consequences and not have a credit score, right? All right, let's see what other things you got up here. Thanks for sharing the video, hashtagging Fortress, tagging a friend. Bradley is a cool dude. He makes me look uncool. He's always got these witty lines. I don't. Just looking through see if anybody had any questions. I don't think so. Let's go to the bottom now. If you got any credit questions, post them in here. I'll get them because I'm just kind of mentioning it here. Oh, here's something. How do you pay your rent with using a credit card? Most landlords prefer ACH, but I recall you mentioned, do you pay rent and payroll with my American Express card? I do, man. I pay rent of this 5,600 square foot house here in Vegas with this bad boy. American Express Platinum metal card. Is that weird? I don't know why I do that, but whatever. I pay rent with that. I pay payroll with this. I Pay everything that I can with that. Jeffrey, you're right. Most landlords prefer ACH. I prefer that my clients pay with ACH because it is 26 cents a transaction versus 3 to 10% a transaction. And yes, my landlord is paying, he's probably paying 4 or 5% of the rent is going towards fees for American Express, but it's built into the rent, man. And that's the thing. When I say that if you have bad credit, you pay more, you do. If you have bad credit, you're paying more. If you listen to Uncle Dave, you're paying for it because you pay more for gas, for groceries, electricity, for car insurance, for clothing, for cell phones, for computers. You pay more. And for people that are renting, you pay more. See, I pay with my credit card. Yes, the landlord probably pays 5% of my rent goes towards processing. And then all the other people that pay with ACH that don't have credit cards, they're essentially paying 5% more in their rent to pay for mine. Because that's what businesses do. They just jack up the price. I do it. If you want to pay for credit repair with credit card, you pay me 10% more. Because I got to pay for it. That's just how it works, man. It just goes on to the price of the goods that you're selling or services. You just add it in. So how did I do it? They offered it. I signed up. And I have to pay, to be transparent, I do have to pay extra to pay with a credit card. Jeff, paid extra $50 a month for the convenience of paying with my credit card. But I pay my utilities through my rent. So my highest rent was like $7,500. Yeah, I think it was July or August with the water bill, the swimming pool bill, the landscaping bill, and the air conditioning. It was like $7,500, right? So now take that times 1.5 points, right? Because I get 1.5% cash back, or maybe it's, yeah, I get 1.5 on the American Express. So 7,500 plus 3,700. So I got what? 11,200 points when I paid my rent, which essentially is 10% of that is $110 or $112. So I made essentially $112 by paying rent with my credit card, but they charged me $50, so I really only made $62. I'm still ahead $62, right? Why wouldn't I use a credit card? And I do the same thing with payroll. I pay all my processors with my credit card. Corey, I don't know if you're still on. I hope you are. Hope you enjoyed Florida. If you guys don't know who Corey Peterson is, Corey Peterson, Kahuna Wealth Builders or Kahuna Investments. I can't remember that. But Corey was broke, had bad credit, and he started buying apartment complexes. And Corey now realizes the importance of credit, and he knows he could have become wealthier faster if he'd had good credit. But like many, many Americans, thousands and thousands, went through short sales and all that other stuff. And so he built his empire using other people's money and other people's credit, and now he teaches other people how to do it. Similar to Grant Cardone. You know, he's on his way there. So he just closed on I think it was $7.9 million. You can post it in there, Corey, if you're still on. A $7.9 million apartment complex. Has a house on the beach in Hawaii. A house on the beach in Mexico. A beautiful wife, beautiful kids. He's living the true American dream, but he's not doing it by saving. He's doing it by essentially using his credit and his credibility with other people, and he's building an empire buying multifamily properties, just like Cardone, just like David Lindenhall, just like Brad Sumerick, all people that I know. that buy apartment complexes. Update your iPhone software. Man, you're talking about the A thing. Yeah, that's not what I was talking about, Todd. The issue that I'm having is when I type in I, capital I, it changes it to lowercase I. It's on my computer, on my Macs, every single one of them. It's on my iPad and both of my iPhones. So it's not the A thing, it's the I. I literally go Shift I space and it changes it to lowercase I every single time. And it's really starting to piss me off. And I have to do it like 3 times before it'll actually correct it. So what I'm probably going to do is go to my keyboards, but then it's going to jack it up because then if I do lowercase I, it's going to change it to uppercase I, and then I'm going to look like a complete fool. So they just got to fix it. Switch to Android. And I can't switch. It's too difficult to learn that stuff. Chris Klein. Dude, Chris, I know you and Andy are here racing Lamborghinis. I wish you would call me back. I want to go race Lamborghinis with you. Chris Klein and Andy Frisella own First Form. It's a $100 million company. Amazing supplements. Cool guys. Check out Andy Frisella has a podcast called MF CEO. You can figure out what MF stands for. I'm not going to say it here, but because I don't know if there's any little kids and I don't want to offend anybody. But it is a badass podcast. MF CEO. Thank you, Pedro. When you have an agent, Springs, did you work with Caliber? Yeah, Larry, I worked with Rich Dillman. Rich Dillman is still a good friend of mine and still refers business to us literally. It used to be weekly. I think now it's probably monthly because he's got a different clientele now. But yeah, Rich Dillman, if you guys live in Colorado looking for a mortgage, Rich Dillman is the guy to go to. Unless you are, Larry. I'm not trying to take away business from you, but Chris. Oh, 12.7. So you are on, Corey. Cool. $12.7 million. So Corey Peterson just bought a $12.7 million apartment complex. Corey, how much of your own money, I don't know if you want to share that or not, but how much of your own money, if I could add you on there, I would. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. How do they calculate your credit card utilization rate? That's a great question. What they do is they take all of your credit cards, they add them up, they take all of the limits, they add it up, they divide how much you're using. So if you got $1,000 card, $1,000 card, and $1,000 card, that's $3,000. You're using $1,000. They divide it, and your utilization rate is basically 33%. So they take all of the cards combined, and then they divide it. All right. So it's not like if you max out one card, it doesn't affect your utilization rate in a different way. It does, but it's different. Like if you've gone months and everything is like $10 a month, and then all of a sudden you max out a card. You are going to see a drop because it's a red flag. But if you just keep like 10% across the board, it's all the same there. Kahuna cash flow, is that what it is, Michelle? Thank you. The more in debt I get, the richer I become. I mean, look at Grant Cardone. He has an unlimited line of credit with the U.S. government. Unlimited line of credit. He'd go borrow $4 billion right now if he had the apartment complexes. And the more in debt he gets, the richer he becomes. And there is a we're talking about business debt or debt that makes you rich. We're not talking about consumer debt, go buying a four-wheeler. You know, that's not good debt. That's bad debt. How did Trump become one of the richest men in the world? The highest paid speaker in the world is Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. How did he do it? By using his credit and his debt the right way. You know, recently I had someone post that Orrin Woodward and Chris Brady in the Financial Fitness book said that you don't need credit, and that's not what they said. They said you need to fix your credit right away. once you've recovered. You need to fix your credit because credit is important. And they understand the value of business debt. In that book, they're talking about personal consumer debt. Getting a car to drive back and forth to work is not necessarily good debt. Now, if that car makes you money, which it does, then hey, maybe it's okay. But for me to go, like if I was going to go get a motorcycle, a new one, I wouldn't finance it most likely. I mean, I would, but if you watch my other videos on how to finance to get the lower deal and how to pay it off so you don't pay interest, but I wouldn't go buy a motorcycle unless I had enough money to pay cash because that's recreational. That's not going to make me any money. You know, if I go buy a new Bentley or a new Ferrari, those babies are going to be financed and those are going to make me money. They're going to put more money in my pocket than a motorcycle. Real quick, I've been giving away silver. So if you're still watching and you want a chance at winning some silver, share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro, and you get a chance at winning some silver. And people have been winning every day this week. Andy has some kick-ass cars. That's right. He only got like 100 Lamborghinis or something. Oh, Rich is your partner. Cool. Tell Rich hi. I'm going to go see Rich here in a few weeks. Not a dime. The only thing that makes a car an asset is your ass that sits in it and gets you the money. That's partially true, but not. I'm not gonna argue with you. But I talked to a guy. Let's see, who was it? Oh, this dude. We went out to dinner with him the other night. He flew in a Gulfstream 450. He said that's about a $30 million plane. And he bought a GT, and it's got 16 miles on it. And he paid $150,000, and he just sold it for over $1 million. That is an asset. A Ford GT just sold it for over $1 million, paid $100,000 for it, put it 150, whatever it was. I'm just scrolling down. I want to see where Corey is. Got to go. Oh, okay. Well, Corey's going, so I'll slow down. I wanted to get Corey on here, but Corey. If you guys are serious about becoming wealthy, Corey's a good guy. Grant Cardone, same thing, Cardone Capital. I just finished Corey's book. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. That's Corey Peterson. He's on Why the Rich Get Richer by Corey Peterson. Check it out on Amazon. But it's a good book. I actually read it cover to cover. Yeah, a Kia or a Honda is not going to make any money. Well, it's not going to appreciate. You know, there are certain cars that will. I have a friend, Patty Deegan, the attorney that works in the office with us and does a lot of work with us. He's got lots and lots of cars, and they make him a lot of money. And there's ways to do it. If you ever went to one of my personal seminars where I do a 3D business credit seminar, and some of the topics is how to legally pay less income taxes. One of the strategies is buying silver, gold, guns, cars, airplanes, boats, and how to legally buy these investments and not pay taxes on the capital gain. It's an interesting strategy. Last night when I was hanging out with Tony Hsieh, this is the CEO of Zappos, at his trailer park with his black alpaca, there were dudes in there, Bitcoin millionaires. And I congratulated them because they were all talking about how much Bitcoin's this and Bitcoin that, and Bitcoin blah, 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 blah. And I said, that's cool. You guys been claiming it on your taxes? And they just looked at me like, taxes? I said, yeah. Are you claiming your gains on your tax returns? They're like, no. I said, well, the IRS is going to come knocking one day because legally you have to pay taxes on that Bitcoin gain. And all of these guys, these millionaires, they're not filing taxes. And the IRS is going to come knocking one day and they're going to be in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. So if you are buying Bitcoin and playing that game, you better damn well claim those gains, because the IRS is going to find out, and they're going to send you a big ass bill with penalties and interest because you're not paying your taxes on that money, and you're supposed to. I'm just reading through your stuff, Jeffrey. Yeah, I'll let you know when I do the course. It's going to be sometime next year. I'm still figuring out the price on it. We might just record one of them and put it on the light speed because, on passive charges as much as $25,000 for the 3-day seminar. And we might just do that with some select people and then record it and then put it on the Lightspeed credithacks.com. Sell it for like $1,000 and let you do it from the privacy of your home and your underwear if you want. What's this say here? Damn serious about getting wealthy and tired of living paycheck deal to deal. Yeah, I know. It's, just over broke. Nothing wrong with working hard, being blue collar, but it sucks being just over broke. It's called a job. Otherwise, it'd be called a career. There's nothing wrong with, having a career. Just a job is not good news. You need to get a career, and then you need to take the money that you're making. You need to save some of it and invest it, not save it and put it in a checking account. You need to invest it with people like Grant Cardone, like Corey Peterson, like myself, like Brad Sumarek, David Lindenhall. I don't really know him, but I know who he is. That's who trained Brad Sumarek and Corey Peterson. But, we're going to start buying apartment complexes here in 2018 as well. We're actually looking at stuff right now. I say we, my wife and I. We're looking at a $1.9 million apartment complex in Tallahassee, Florida. 98 doors, so 1 bedroom, 1 bath. We can purchase it for a little over $2 million. And we're going to be able to almost triple the rent, which will probably quadruple the net worth or the property value. So we'll get it for $2 million. We'll be able to sell it in 2 to 3 years for $8 million. Recession proof. So it doesn't matter if the recession hits again, if the real estate market crashes, stock market crashes. This is recession proof in the way we're doing it. And we'll make our investors a ton of money, as well as ourselves, if we don't just do it with our own money. So I'll be giving more information about that later for everybody. We just got to figure out what we're going to do with it. Let's see if anybody... Oh, there's some comments. Grant always says lease, but I know your strategy of buying vehicles. My question is, on a brand new car, once it's out of warranty, can it be scary to repair? I had a friend just spend $3,000 for a damn came. I don't know what that means, but man, here's my strategy on leasing, Joe. What I think what Grant is probably talking about with leasing is if you're that kind of person that has to have a brand new car every 2 years, like I was talking to a guy this morning, he's got to have a new car every 2 years, then maybe leasing's the way to go. But here's my belief on it. If you have credit card debt, student loan debt, any type of consumer debt, you should not be leasing a car. I mean, it's just stupid. Unless you run it through the business, the reason you lease it through a business is you can write off 100% of the lease and the car insurance. But if it's your personal car, day-to-day driver, and you have any type of debt, and if you're living paycheck to paycheck or deal to deal, you shouldn't be leasing a car, man. I got a Tundra. It's a 2010 Tundra, 141,000 miles on it. I had to pay yesterday $200 on some repairs. And it wasn't repairs, it was just maintenance. I had an oil change, and I had the differential fluids changed. Last week I had a new radiator put in it. It cost me $300 and something. But in the 8 years, almost 8 years I've had that Tundra, I'm less than $1,000 in repairs. What I'm getting at here is you can find these Tundras. Instead of going buying a brand new $60,000 Tundra, go buy a 4-year-old Tundra for $30,000 with 50,000 miles. So I know Grant says to lease, but man, if you got debt and if you're not putting 20% of your income away in multifamilies or stocks or bonds or something, which I don't like stocks and bonds, but if you're not investing 20% of your income every month, dude, just go freaking buy a 1982 Honda and drive it for 2 years, right? So I don't like leasing unless you're doing it through the business, unless there's a reason you're doing it through the business. And there's other ways you can do it. And I've never heard Grant say to lease on vehicles. I know he talks about renting a house where you live. Rent where you live, own what you rent. But I don't know about the leasing. So hopefully that answers your question. Have all my properties now for sale to invest in Cardone Capital. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, Cardone's a good guy to invest with. He's never lost money, so he says, in real estate, and I have no reason not to believe him. But, you know, if you can make 20% and he's doing all the work, why not, right? Cash flow. Minimum investment. I think, Larry, you're talking to me. It's probably going to be $100,000. You know, I talked to Cardone about it and some other guys, and everybody. It's $100,000 minimum investment, and it's because if we're doing these multi-million-dollar deals, it's better to have 4 or 5 investors versus 500 investors. I'd like to help everybody, but I don't know if I want to have 500 business partners. If that makes sense. Just remind, what did that say? Yeah, just as a reminder, if you share the video, make sure you hashtag a friend. It's getting dark in here, isn't it? Make sure you hashtag a friend. Share the video, hashtag. Make sure you tag a friend, share the video, and hashtag it. So tag a friend, share it, and hashtag it. A lot of people are just sharing it, which I appreciate. But the rules are rules. And if you want to win the coin, you got to follow the rules. Share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. And then we can give away more silver. But, you know, it wouldn't be fair to everybody else that follows the rules that if I gave it to everybody, even if they forgot. Yeah, so, I mean, you're doing it the right way, Larry, on the cars. You know, never leased. I leased one before. I probably won't lease anything because there's actually a better way to write off vehicles than leasing. Leasing is, how do I say this right? Leasing is the best way to write off a vehicle for someone who doesn't understand or know all of the rules. And there's a limit, $17,500, luxury limit. So if you go, I know a guy right now, he's leasing 2 Ferraris and a Rolls Royce, and his payments are like $15,000, $15,000 a month, and he thinks he's writing off the whole thing. He's not. He's limited to $17,500. So the dude is literally leasing, throwing away $180,000 a year on 3 vehicles, and he thinks he's writing it off. It's because he doesn't know any better. And his tax person says, oh, yeah, we're writing it off. No, you're not, because the IRS adds all of it but $17,500 back to your income line. So he's not writing it off. He's just throwing away all this money. There are better ways to write off your vehicles than leasing. Much better ways. And it's not Section 179 either. And usually it's mileage is your better way. But if you're going to be driving expensive, exotic, luxury cars, the mileage doesn't work because you're only doing 2,000-3,000 miles a year. I mean, my vet's only got 15,000 miles, 16. No, I just hit 16,000 miles on it, and it's almost 6 years old. You know, and I drive it a lot, and it's still, you know, 2,000, 3,000 miles a year. Yeah, he said drive an old car until you're worth. Okay, that makes more sense. That Grant would say buy an old car until you got it. Not a Lambo. Yeah, I tried getting a Lambo the other day. A Aventador. I couldn't get my ass through the door. I'm just too big of a guy. Once had a lease car stolen and crashed. Yeah, you know how many times I see that on credit reports where people's credit is destroyed from a lease and the dealer went and hit them with a bunch of fees later on. They did that with me. The only car I ever leased, I was 21, 22 years old. I really didn't know any better. Someone said lease, and so I did it because I was dumb, young, dumb, and you know what, full of what. I leased this Dodge Neon, and it was like $180 a month or something. 2 years later, I turned it back in. Fortunately, I did the contract. I kept it because about 3 months later, I got sent to collections, and it got totaled, like sideswiped in the dealership, rear-ended, sideswiped, just completely jacked. And they tried to say that it was me, that I returned it that way. Fortunately, I had the paperwork showing that I turned it in good condition. Yeah, so that's same thing with you, Joe, right? They screwed you later. I see that all the time. All the time we see that. Any other questions on credit, guys? I'd love to answer any of your questions regarding credit. It's getting dark here in Vegas in my office. Turn on some lights. Any questions on credit? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. I don't want to bore anybody. I appreciate everybody watching. If you want a chance at winning some silver and later on some gold, tag a friend, share the video, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. Lots of good videos. Today's kind of like a free throw. No, that's not it. That's not the right word. It's not my normal video where I really just talk strictly about credit and just get short and sweet. But somebody said, hold on. Student loans and taxes are my next. Well, Larry, taxes shouldn't be a problem for you at all, man. If taxes are a problem for you, you got the wrong person doing your taxes. In my 3-day seminar, I teach how to legally, if you make less than $1 million a year, how to legally pay a big fat zero in income tax. So if you're watching right now and you make less than $1 million a year and you're paying more than $1 in taxes, my friend, you're doing it wrong. If you make less than $1 million a year and you are paying more than $1 in income tax, you are doing it wrong. You are playing a game and you don't understand the rules. Can you imagine baseball player goes up to the bat, hits it, knocks it out of the park, and runs to third base? That's what you're doing. If you're making less than if you're making $1 million or less and you're paying income tax, you're running to third base. Every time you get a paycheck, instead of going to first base, you run to third. And you're losing. You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. I'll share with you how. Now, I'm just not going to say you're doing it wrong, but I'll share how. Yeah, I saw, somebody said, I hope you heard Ty Lopez opening credit. Ty Lopez. Kill me now. Somebody shared his bullshit video with me the other day. And I had to burst my friend's bubble that it's complete 100% bullshit. That 19-year-old kid that's got $3 million in credit cards, that's impossible. I'm calling bullshit right now. One, because he's 19 years old, doesn't have a job. Two, and he said he's got like 220 cards, which means he would have no less than 220 inquiries on his credit report. And there's no way in hell a credit card company is going to give some 19-year-old unemployed kid $3 million in credit cards. Now, I believe what he's doing is he's doing what we call piggybacking in authorized user accounts. And he's probably doing business or corporate credit. And it's not personal credit. So I saw the stupid video of Ty Lopez. I'm calling bullshit because it just, one, he's 19 years old. The Card Act that President Obama put in said that you can't get credit cards till you're 21. So there's a bunch of red flags in that video, but yes, I did hear about Ty Lopez's stupid credit. And he's going to sell millions and millions of dollars to a bunch of people and, whatever. But it's a bunch of garbage. Do we get inquiries removed? Yeah, we get inquiries removed all the time. I'll tell you that recently I told my team that we're not going to work on inquiries anymore. They're just not worth it. They're such a waste of time to get them removed. And this is the other thing with Ty Lopez and his 19-year-old, now he's 20, BS credit card system. He says to go to CFPB and file a complaint. Basically what he's telling you to do is commit fraud. To lie and say that you're a victim of identity theft and file false police reports. Dude, you're going to go to jail. I know people that do inquiry removal, and that's how they do it. They file a false police report, they fax it in the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus, by law, have to remove the inquiries within 24 to 72 hours. But they're committing felonies doing it. So, yeah, we've done inquiry removal. We're just not going to do it anymore. Instead, what we're going to do, CJ, is we're going to send the letters to our clients and let them do the inquiry stuff because, they can send out the letters ourselves because legally you can't dispute inaccuracies on inquiries because it's just an inquiry. And unless it's identity theft, they're pretty hard to get removed without committing fraud and without lying. And 90% of all inquiries are completely ignored. Like this guy that I looked at today had 26, 28 inquiries. Only one of them was impacting his credit score in a negative way. One at like 26, 28 inquiries. So they're 90% are completely ignored. They're a waste of time to work on. But we will help people get them removed, but we're just not going to do it ourselves. Got to put the kids to bed. Cool. I don't have a guy. I don't have a tax guy in Colorado Springs, Larry, but I will post it in here. Someone post markjkohler.com, Mark J. Kohler. I don't use Mark. I would use Mark if I didn't use Kingsley. I use a guy named Kingsley Charles, but Kingsley will not do your tax returns unless you're doing $5 million or more a year. And so that's probably not going to help you. So I would recommend Mark J. Kohler. Mark J. Kohler out of Utah. He's kind of the Walmart of tax professionals. Very, very good. If you want to learn about taxes, go to YouTube and type in Mark J. Kohler. Sign up for his podcast and his YouTube channel. Again, I don't make any money from the dude. I just know he's really good. And again, if you're making less than $1 million, paying more than $1 in taxes, you're doing it wrong. And I'm going to share with you how you're doing it wrong. Teach me the rules. I'm going to. I'll get in it. Does it apply to people at W-2? Here's the thing, Jeff, is in order to legally pay less taxes, you got to have a pass-through business. You got to have a side business. And that's one of the things that Mark Kohler teaches is how to get involved in real estate or flipping cars or picking up dog poop or doing whatever you got to do so you can get a pass-through entity going. That's how you pay less in taxes. So Mark, that's one of the things I like about Mark and why I encourage people to follow him and watch him and why I recommend him. Because if you're making more than $5 million a year, I can introduce you to Kingsley. If you're not, Mark J. Kohler is the way to go. Larry, I know I see you owed 30 grand, Dude, I made $2 million last year, and I paid less than. I made over $2 million. I paid less than $30,000 in taxes. This year we're going to do $7 million or more. So if you're making less than $90,000 and you're paying $30,000, I'm telling you, you got the wrong guy. And I was in retirement last year, so I'm out now. What's the best way to get all the right information? CreditHacks.com was probably the best way. Follow my videos too. Sign up. Can you buy a car under the business credit? Yeah, absolutely. You can get cars under business credit. You want to build your business credit profile in order to get a car. But yeah, you can get, I mean, think about it. You think, Bill Gates, the jet, and all his stuff is under his personal name? No. Anybody that has any money at all, they don't own anything. Like, I own literally almost nothing. I control everything. And Donald Trump says it best. Own nothing, control everything. Own nothing, control everything. Grant Cardone says it best with houses. Rent where you live, own what you rent. But yeah, you can do it under business credit. S Corp, side commissions, yeah, that's it. Credit hacks. All right. I'm going to share with you, when I said you're doing it wrong, I'm going to share some stuff with you. The number one thing that you can do to decrease your tax burden, the number one thing you can do to decrease your tax burden is to create a business, an LLC taxed as a S Corp. So an LLC, you form your LLC, and then you file what's called a form, an S election. I think it's, they just changed it. It was like 1520, but just S election form. Okay, so LLC taxes an S Corp. That's the very first thing you need to do in order to start saving money on taxes. Now, here's something you got to know. Legally, the business is an attempt to make money. It can't be an attempt to not pay taxes. So whatever you do, it's got to be an attempt to make money. All right, so create an LLC, taxes as an S Corp. You don't want to be a sole proprietor. If you don't do anything on your LLC, you'll be set up as a sole proprietor. It doesn't do any good for you. So LLC taxes an S, but it has to be an attempt to make money, not just an attempt to not pay taxes. Otherwise, that's called, if you do it that way, it's called tax evasion, which is illegal. Here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a tax attorney. This is not tax or legal advice. This is strictly educational for you and entertaining, right? So you want to set up an LLC, taxes an S Corp. And here's, Brad Lee shared this the other day on his podcast, and I'm going to share it with you. What's Michael say? If you haven't an LLC to set up, if you've already have an established LLC that's not set up as an S, no, if you already set up an LLC and you did not fill out the Form S election, you're set up as a sole proprietor. You can immediately, it was called a Form 1120S, but they recently changed it. But you can switch it from an S to a C to sole or whatever you want. But you definitely want to switch from an LLC sole prop to an LLC S Corp. Tax as an S Corp. What exactly do for a business, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, that's a great question, Brett. I own a financial services company. So I own a credit repair company. I help people, I fix people's mistakes on their credit reports. I fix people's mistakes. I also own a company that gets rid of credit card debt. We had a client today enroll, $209,000. $209,000 and poof, it's gone. No bankruptcy, no destroying his credit, not having to pay taxes on that money. $209,000 completely wiped out. We wipe out student loan debt, same thing, through our debt dismissal program. And then we also invest in real estate. We invest in other businesses. We invest in guns, vehicles, and some other stuff. So that's what we do. Primarily financial services, though. Debt dismissal. We help people with their taxes through attorneys. And then we also set up and help attorneys with lawsuits against credit bureaus, collection companies, and banks. I got into this line of business to help people, but I got in it because I needed it for myself. So this is what Brad shared the other day, and I'm going to share it with you. Brad Lee, owner of Lightspeed VT. Check out Brad online. It's got a really cool podcast called Dropping Bombs. And he shared this the other day on Dropping Bombs, and it was the secret to becoming wealthy. The secret to becoming an entrepreneur. And it's really, really simple. So if you're not driving, pull out a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm going to share with you how you can become wealthy, how you can live the life you've always wanted, how you can vacation anywhere in the world with anybody you want, at any time you want, how you can legally pay less taxes, and you can just overall have a better life. Here's what you have to do. Are you ready? You gonna write it down? Look for problems. See, if you want to become successful, if you want to become rich, if you want to become wealthy, look for problems. And then create a solution to that problem. And just make sure, and then you sell the solution to the problem, and make sure, whatever the solution is, you sell it for more than it costs you to fix it. That's it. Did you think it was going to be more than that? That's really it. Look for problems, find solutions, sell the solution. That's all you got to do. That is it. I'll give you an example. How I got started in credit repair was I had a problem. I had just gone through bankruptcy. I had hired several companies to fix my credit. They did exactly what most companies do, and that is they charged me several $1,000s. I paid them, and they did nothing. They just took my money. So I hired another company. Remember, I just got out of bankruptcy. I didn't have a lot of money to spare. I gave them some money. They took my money, and they did nothing. So that was a problem. I needed to fix my credit. I needed good credit so I could start a new business and move on with my life. And that's how I got involved with credit repair. I couldn't find anybody else to do it for me, so I figured out how they did it, and then I made it better. Here's another problem. I'll share it with you. Let me see this comment real quick. For the debt dismissal program, if line of credit's charged off, you just got to call them. You got to call them and ask for the statement. They'll happily send you a statement. So on the debt dismissal, he was saying if the line of credit's charged off and you want to enroll the charge off, how do you get the statement? You call and ask, and they'll send it to you, and then you enroll with us, and then we do our thing and wipe out the credit card debt, the student loan debt, the tax bill, whatever you got, your medical collections, whatever it is, we wipe it out. It's gone. Doesn't destroy your credit. Like I said, I had a guy today, over $200,000 in credit card debt. He was paying almost $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month in minimum payments, and his payment to me is going to be $1,800 for 3 years, and it's gone, all of it. So if you got credit card debt, student loan debt, bad credit, go to fortresscreditpro.com, direct message me, whatever you got to do to get in touch with us, and we will hook you up. If you'd like a chance at winning some silver, it's shiny. Tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro, and share the video.
Is there a minimum on the debt? It's got to be at least $15,000 in debt for you to qualify for a debt dismissal program, at least 15 grand. I recently formed a business a couple days ago. I used a third-party vendor, set up the Secretary of State. They tried to sell you. I use iCanFile.com, myllc.com. If you get their operating agreement, here's the thing. Mark J. Kohler will do LLCs. I think he's charging like $400 to set up your LLC. I mean, for an attorney to do it, that's cheap. That's what I said. He's the Walmart of true tax professionals. I mean, the amount he charges, I know guys are charging $4 or $5 grand, and Mark does it for $400. So Mark J. Kohler is the way to go on that. Cool. All right. Where do you say you want to start? Oh, you start about think about starting a credit repair company. That's cool. Yeah, it's a good business. Here's the thing you got to know. If you're going to start a credit repair company, you got to do it the right way, and that's charge people after you fix their credit. Don't do it like everybody else. If you charge up front, it's illegal. Don't do it monthly because I'm not going to try to discourage you, but you can't compete with Lexington Law. Credit Cloud, creditrepair.com, Blue Sky, Credit Pros, Kansas City Credit, all these guys that charge monthly. Man, you can't compete with that. If you're going to do credit repair, you do it paid on performance. That's how you do it. But here's what you need to know. You won't make any money for at least 3 years. And that's why people don't do it. My wife and I literally squatted. She wasn't my wife at the time, but we squatted in foreclosures. And we moved every few weeks to few months because the house would eventually, get foreclosed on, or they'd sell it. And we moved to the next house. There was a house we lived in San Diego. It was so bad. It was infested with rats, rodents, roaches. It was absolutely disgusting. And we lived there. It was so gross. But that's what I had to do. That's what we had to do for years. And it was actually 5 years before we made any real money. And that's what happens when you do the paid on performance. It's 3 to 5 years, man, before you do anything. So you got to be prepared to live on beaners and wieners and ramen noodles. I think the dogs ate better than we did most of the time. But don't just start up a monthly thing, because that's not cool. It's just you can't compete with Lexington. You'll just be another one of them out there. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing with Mark Kohler is if you already have your LLC and stuff set up, Mark will go and clean up your operating agreement and all that stuff. So that's cool. All right, so back to creating a business, right? Yes, you got to do your minutes. You got to do, you saw what Michelle, I don't know if you saw Jeff. Jeff just asked you have to keep your LLC active in order for it to work and all that stuff. Yeah, you got to do your monthly minutes, your yearly minutes, your annual meetings, your board of director meetings. And, Michelle and I did our annual meeting last month in Cozumel. And it was awesome. I went diving. I did 11 reef dives. We went to breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, all inclusive. We sat by the pool. It was awesome. And at the same time, we did our required annual minutes. Because it's required. The government says you have to do your minutes. Don't say where you have to do it. And because we were doing our minutes there, we rode off first class from Vegas to Mexico, from Mexico to Vegas, the resort, the scuba diving, the booze, the food, everything was a write-off because it was a required corporate meeting. So back to the problems. You got to find a problem, and then you find a solution. You sell the solution for more than it costs you. Here's a problem. Right out that door, so right out that window, is a big dog run. That's where my meatheads go and do their business. It's gravel. That's where they go out and poop, right? The problem is, I don't like picking up poop. So if someone would come by and knock on my door and say, Mr. Lambeth, we heard through the grapevine, or we watched your video and saw that you don't like picking up dog poop, we are here to provide you with a solution to your problem. I would say, okay, you're hired. You're hired. You can pick up the dog poop for me. Now, I don't pick up the dog poop. My wife picks up the dog poop. But if someone asked me if I could hire them to pick up the dog poop, I would do it. When I lived in Colorado, my kids were little. And at the time we had 2 dogs and a small yard. And they used to poop all over the place. And the kids would step in it and they'd bring it in the house. And it was a problem for me. I literally hired a company called Pooper Scoopers. And it was like $15 a week. $60 a month. And the dude would show up at my house and pick up the dog poop for $15. And it was like a lot of dog poop. I was happy to pay him $15. Extremely happy. So he had a successful business. He found a problem. He found a solution. He sold the solution to people. It cost him less to provide the solution than what he was selling it for, and he made money. I know a guy in San Diego that he'll tell you that he's not very smart, that he has a very low IQ, and that he's officially a retard. This is him speaking, not me. The dude makes over $1 million a year, and all he does is he washes luxury and exotic cars in La Jolla, Rancho Santa Fe, and all the ritzy places where they have, the Bentleys and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and Maseratis and all the super nice stuff. And he gets to drive those types of cars now because he has enough customers paying him for the solution, which is they don't want to wash their own car. Grant Cardone does not wash his rolls. I personally do not wash my own cars. Sometimes I'm tempted, but then I have to slap myself back into reality and remind myself that instead of going out and washing my vet or washing my truck or washing the Jeep or the motorcycles, I can pay someone to do it, which is now a tax write-off because it's through the company. The company owns those cars. And instead I can go have dinner with my wife, wine with my wife. I can go watch a movie with my wife. Or I can do a video like this with you. Or I can get on the phone and start making some sales calls and make that money to pay for the $13 car wash. And those guys do a better job than I would. Relatively speaking, right? For the amount of time that it takes them to do it. They do a better job than me. Never do work below your pay grade. That's right. So what I did, and I know you've heard this before, figure out your wage, your hourly rate, and then if you can pay someone to do that for you for less than what you make, then pay them to do it. Like if my wife ever said, I don't want to pick up the dog poop anymore, I'd say, fine, hire someone. Done. She does it though. I don't do it. If she said, you have to start picking up the dog poop, I'd say, okay, cool. I'd go to Google and I'd type in dog pooper picker-uppers, and I'd have someone come to my house once a week and pick up the dog poop because I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to clean my own toilets. I'm not going to vacuum my own floor. You know what vacuums my floor? I do vacuum every day. Mr. Robot. It just got stuck over here this morning. Got stuck behind my chair. But
The robot does it. So back to the tax thing. If you want to pay less taxes, you need to create your own company. How do you create a company? Find a problem, look for problems, create a solution for that problem. Sell that solution for less than what it costs you to provide the solution. It's really simple. You know, here I'm talking right now on an iPhone. There was a problem, and the problem was people wanted to have all their music on one spot, right? That was Steve Jobs' thing with here's my other iPhone. But Steve Jobs wanted to provide a solution, and his problem was he wanted all his music on one thing, so he created the iPod, right? And then it turned into the iPhone. But that's the solution. Richard Branson, look at Virgin Airlines. That was created out of a problem. He's in South America somewhere. They canceled his flight. I think they canceled it a second time. They were rude. He's like, fine, I'm going to start my own. And he started Virgin Airlines. And he has a joke about that. And the joke is the fastest way to become a millionaire. So let me ask you, what's the fastest way for you to become a millionaire? Do you know the joke? The fastest way to become a millionaire is to be a billionaire and start an airline. That's the fastest way to become a millionaire. Be a billionaire with your own airline. It just doesn't work. But he made it work, right? You don't see them everywhere. Now they're teamed up with American Airlines. I think it's called the 5-Star Alliance or something. But because when we flew to Cozumel, first class to Mexico, first class because the business paying for it. Why not, right? It's free. It's a write-off, and I redeem the points. If I don't redeem the points, I lose them anyway. But it was Virgin Airlines contracted through American Airlines. So I paid American, but we flew on Virgin. All right. See if there's any more comments or questions. So you find a problem, you create the solution, you sell that solution for less than what it costs you to fix it, right? I'll give you an example. The guy that helped me learn how to fly my airplane in the mountains up in Tahoe. Tahoe, the airport there is ranked in the top 10 most dangerous airports on the planet. And every year, every month of every year, somebody crashes an airplane or a helicopter in Tahoe. Just last week, some dude crashed a helicopter up there too. Every month of every year, someone's crashing. And I didn't want to be one of those guys. So I got some extra training. And Chris, I heard him talking to his accountant, bad guy. So I ended up eventually getting him to fire that idiot. Told him he owed like $200,000 in taxes. And he had to pay it. Just like with the guy earlier on the video that made 90 and had to pay 30. I make millions and I pay less than that. But I was telling him after he got off the call, I explained to him, what I did and credit repair and stuff. And next thing I know, I'm getting $10,000 worth of flight training for free, even though it would have been tax deductible because it was through the business. But I got it for free because I saved Chris over $200,000 with a couple little things that he could do with his company. One of the businesses that we set up for Chris had a 16-year-old kid. And Bill Crane, you're watching right now. I know you have kids, right? I don't know how many kids you have, but how many of you watching right now? Sorry, somebody just told me how to fix the eye problem. I just showed up on my computer. How many of you watching right now have a teenage boy? Give me a love if you have a teenage boy. Give me some little emoji loves. If you have a teenage boy at home, maybe a nephew, right? My wife has a nephew, and we told him to do this, and I don't know if her cousin actually did it, but it would have saved him a ton of money if he would have listened to me, but I don't know if he did. All right, there's some of you out there that have a teenage boy. Yeah, 20 counts. How many of you would want to spend more time with that teenager? Like quality time, like time that you really enjoyed.
that you would, your kid and you would remember the rest of your life. And you got to write off all of the expenses. Wouldn't that be cool? Spend time with your kids and write it all off. Joseph, you said you're all ears. Does your kid like cars, classic cars? Camaros, Mustangs, trucks, Impalas. Does he like classic cars? Would he like to drive a classic car? If he had a choice, would he rather drive that Honda Civic that he's driving? I don't know what he's driving, but would he prefer the Honda Civic, or what's his favorite car, Joseph? It's just going to be easier. Just play along with me. What's his favorite car? What would be his car of choice to drive? We're going to wait a little bit for Joseph to tell me his son's favorite car or his car of choice. An 84 Jeep. Cool. Cool. What if I told you that you could go set up an LLC, taxes and S Corp, and that LLC's business, purpose, is to, what is the word I'm looking for? Rehab, not remodel, but to restore. That's the word. The business is to restore classics and then sell them for a profit. So you and your son would go out, find a 1984 Jeep, and this is what I did with Chris. His son wanted a Camaro, so we went out. I created a company restoring classic cars. We created a name for it, and they went out and they funded it. So Chris had to fund it from personal money. So he took some of that money that he was going to pay with taxes and he funded the LLC, and him and his son went out and found a Camaro. And then they restored the Camaro. So now dad and son, Joseph in your case, you're restoring a Jeep. You got to buy the tools. These are all things you probably would want to do anyway. You buy the tools. You buy the equipment. You sand down the Jeep. You replace parts on it. Put in new seats. Jeeps are cool, man. That's easy. You go on jeepsomething.com and you just buy all the parts. But you can literally create a restoration company. And if he's successful and if he likes it a lot and he's good, he can make millions and millions of dollars. West Coast Choppers, Counts Customs. I could go on and on and on if I could remember the names, right? Sorry, the coatings make my nose itch again. But you could set up the LLC. You and your son could get the 1984 Jeep. All the money that you put into the Jeep that maybe or maybe not you were going to do anyway, now it's a tax write-off. Maybe you and your son need to go to Florida to a Mecum auction to see the competition. Tax write-off. You're going to dinner and you're going to talk about this Jeep. You're going to talk about the new wheels or the new seats or the new covers and the new doors. And you're just out having dinner with your son. Maybe your wife comes along with you. Maybe your daughter comes with you. Tax write-off. You're driving somewhere to look at another Jeep. Tax write-off, 57 cents a mile. This is a problem. You found a problem. Your son wants a Jeep. Your other problem is you pay too much in taxes. So the solution is to form an LLC to restore classic cars. You buy the Jeep into the LLC, and everything you spend on that Jeep is now tax write-off. Which means eventually to make it legal, you're going to have to sell the Jeep. Cool, sell it. Or keep it as an example. Counts Customs here in Las Vegas. He restores cars, but he also keeps a lot. If you ever come to Vegas and you want to see some really cool cars and it's free, look up Counts Customs. They're open Monday, 7 days a week from 9 to 6 or something. You can go check out all of his cars. They got some really cool cars, motorcycles, all that stuff in there. All write-off. All of it. You know, Rich Dillman, we were talking about Rich Dillman earlier. He did this thing with his kid, but I doubt Rich set up an LLC. So all that money that Rich is making, because Rich is really, really good and very successful at what he does, he could have set up an LLC, and maybe he did, I don't know, but he could have wrote off all of that money that he spent on that car. What about travel? How many of you like to travel? My wife and I travel so much, I don't really like travel anymore. We were supposed to be in Aspen right now, and I was just like, I don't want to go. I just want to stay home. So we're going to go to Lake Tahoe tomorrow, though. But how many of you like to travel? What if you could get paid to travel? To sample wine, to sample food, to check out resorts, to go scuba diving. I have a friend from high school. Her and her husband, it seems like they go to Mexico or British Virgin Islands or the Caribbean. Seems like they go like every 90 days. I don't know if they really do or not, but it sure seems like they do. He is a techie. She's a school teacher. Both of them I know are paying way, way, way too much money in income tax because he's very good at what he does, so he makes really good money. What if instead of them going on vacation, what if they went on business trips? What if they founded a company, an LLC, that was a company to go out and like a travel agency? Now, there's easy ways to do this, and there's a harder way. The easiest way to do this, if you're really into travel and you want to fast track it, there is a MLM, multi-level marketing direct sales company called World Ventures. I am not a big fan. I mean, MLMs, I'm a big fan of MLMs. The fastest way to make money, the fastest way to become good at sales is join an MLM. They got great training, great personal development stuff. And they really teach you a lot. But if you can't come up with something on your own, like if you don't want to be a dog pooper upper, then join MLM. You know, figure out which one's a good one. Don't do a lotion, potions, and pills. I don't like those MLMs. You know, lotion, potions, and pills. Lotion, Melaleuca. Potions, I don't know, Juice Plus, maybe that's pills too, but there's lots of lotion, potions, and pill companies out there. Don't join those. I mean, the ketosis one, Pruitt right now, that's a potion. It's a potion that makes you skinny. And the pill would be Amway because they sell pills. So lotion, potions, and pills, stay away from them. But World Ventures is a travel agency. And if you like to travel and you want to create a business, but you're a W-2 employee and you don't know what to do, join them. Join World Ventures. Find somebody, sign up, join their MLM, go to their meetings, go to their seminars, go to their conventions, learn all you can about it. Maybe sign up a couple people because you got to attempt to make some money at this. And now travel the world and start writing the damn thing off. You're doing the travel anyway. You're doing the vacations anyway. Why not start writing it off? Now, again, in order to legally make this work, you got to try to make money. You don't have to make money. That's what a lot of people say is like, well, I heard if you don't make money out of 4 years, the IRS disqualifies you. And that's not true. Amazon didn't make any money. Tesla, is Amazon a real company? Yes. How about Tesla? Is Tesla a real company? Damn straight. They're not making any money. Nothing. How about SpaceX? Is SpaceX a real company? Yeah. They're now more successful than most governments with launching shit into outer space. Right? But they're not making any money. But did the IRS come in and say, Elon, Solar City's not making money, Tesla's not making money, SpaceX not making money, you're shut down, dude. Ain't working. You know, last night I hung out with Tony Hsieh, founder of Zappos. They didn't make any money for years. So this whole line that you have to make money in the beginning, otherwise the IRS disqualifies you, is a load of crap. Now, is there something to be said about that? Yeah, there's a little code in there that says if you don't make any money, some of your write-offs you won't be able to write them off. You got to prove that you're actually a legitimate business trying to make money. So if Aaron's on right now, Michelle's cousin, if he decides he's going to set up an LLC, and him and Tyler, that's his son, decide they're going to go buy an El Camino, and they're going to restore the El Camino through the business, and so Aaron can take his W-2 money that he makes from Walmart, which isn't nearly enough for the bullshit he's got to put up with from the Walmartians, but he can take that W-2 money that he makes from Walmart, and he can feed that and funnel that into him and his kids' LLC that restores El Caminos, and now he doesn't have to pay Uncle Sam on that Walmart money anymore because he's funneling it into the LLC that him and his son run. And now everything that they spend on that El Camino is a tax write-off. And every time they go to a car show, it's a tax write-off. And every time that him and his kid go to dinner, it's a tax write-off. Because they're doing it to make money through the LLC that restoring El Caminos. And in the end, maybe he sells the El Camino, maybe not. Maybe he keeps it on display like Counts Custom does. Can't think of the guy's name right now. But a lot of his cars, not a lot. He's got many cars that he's never sold that are on display in his warehouse to show you how good he really is, the Count. So you could do the same thing, Aaron, with the El Camino. Or Rich, you could have done it with your son with his, I think that was a Chevelle. My friend Chris, that I taught this to, did it with his son with a Camaro. What if you have a girl? What if your daughters, right? You got girls instead of boys and they don't want to do cars. Well, find out something they want to do. Here's another thing you can do. This is what I did with my kids. My kids never got allowance. I never gave them an allowance for cleaning their room and making their bed and all that stuff. My kids never got spending money. My kids never got money for cheerleading camp. My kids never got money from me for movies. It sounds like I'm a hard ass, right? Not saying that my kids didn't do all these things. My daughter Chastity was a professional model up until like she was 15 years old. My daughter Toya went to surf camp, so did my son. I didn't pay for that. They paid for it. But see, what I'm not telling you is when Toya wanted something, I didn't just give Toya cash. Toya worked for my company. And so Toya got a paycheck that was deposited into her bank account. And then Toya used that money to go to surf camp or gymnastics or to buy cheerleading clothes or to go to the movies. Right? Toya actually earned the money and then used that. Now you can do the same thing. What if you start a travel agency business and you join World Ventures because that's the easiest way to do it. Couple $100, you're now a licensed travel agency, you got your website, you got your phone number, email, everything set up. There's nothing saying that you can't employ your kids. Put your kids on salary. Put your kids on your board. Look, Toya was 10, she bought a candy vending machine. Seriously. I remember that. I think she ended up, did you end up with 3 of them, Toya? I can't remember how many vending machines you ended up having. But she's 10 years old. She took the money that she was making from my construction company and bought vending machines and then started selling candy. And we put them in, I can't remember if we put them at churches, we put them at school. We did something, I can't remember. That was a long time ago. But we put them in businesses, and we went there, wrote off 50 something cents a mile there and back to the grocery store. We wrote off the candy. We dumped it in the machines. We took the cash. She took the cash. But it was a write-off. So you can put your kids on salary. Do you know you can pay your kid $6,500 a year? And they don't pay any tax at all? A big fat zero? And you can take that W-2 money that you're making and put it towards your kids? Here's another thing. Aaron, if you're still watching, take some of that fat cash you're making from Walmart, create an LLC for the girl, and put the girls on salary. Put Tyler on salary. Pay the girls, and that's 3 kids times $6,500. That would be $19,500, right? 3 times 6,500, I think it's $19,500. That's $19,500 that you're making from Walmart that you won't have to pay taxes on. Now, the kids got to do something for it. So my kids did things like emptied the trash, run the shredder, picked up pieces of wood, picked up screws, signed, actually did signs, like for sale signs and for sale by owner signs. They did all that stuff. And they got paid. I got to write it off. Do you see how that's working? So when I say that if you're making $1 million or less and you're paying taxes, you're doing it wrong, this is some of the ways that you can do it the right way. And again, it's an attempt to make money. You're not doing this to avoid taxes. That's tax evasion. Again, I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a CPA. This is not legal advice, strictly educational entertainment for you. My grandson, who is 6 years old, is going to go on salary for Fortress. And he will get a paycheck every month from Fortress. And then I'm going to show my grandson how to take that money and invest it in real estate. How to invest it in precious metals, silver, gold, platinum, not Bitcoin, like real money. And we're going to take that money. I'm going to write it off. I'm going to do whatever I can do to help my grandson be successful, right? His monies. He calls it monies. He's going to work for those monies. I mean, he's going to do things like empty the trash at the office. He's going to run a vacuum cleaner. He's going to feed my fish in my fish tank. He's going to feed my dogs, whatever. So when he comes and stays with me, he's going to go to work for Grandpa. And then we're going to take his monies, like he likes to call them, and we're going to invest it. And we're going to set him up with his own self-directed IRA, which means he's going to take that $6,500. He's going to take a little bit out for his candy, for his girlfriends, right? But he's going to take the rest of it and he's going to invest it in real estate, in gold, silver, guns, cars, whatever. And now that money's going to grow tax deferred. I write it off. I do this. He's independently wealthy by 25 years old. Right? Here's another idea for you. If you don't have kids, nephews, nieces, you can also do this with your parents, your grandparents. $6,500 a year. They pay zero tax. You write it all off. All right, I'm not getting any questions here. My throat is getting a little dry, and I got to take my wife on a date tonight because I screwed it up last night, and I went and hung out with the CEO of Zappos instead. What does it say? What did you do? I'll show you what I did with all that. If you look up there, that is books that I am on my to-do list. Once I read them, they usually go into another file, but I've read hundreds of books. The other way I learned a lot of this, when everybody else is watching TV and going to football and playing fantasy football and all that other stuff, I read tax books. I read a lot of tax books. I watch lots of videos, and I go to a lot of seminars. You know, I just paid $300 for an online seminar from Mark J. Kohler, and it's like the 7 things business owners make, the 7 mistakes business owners make, and 6 of them I knew, 1 of them I didn't, and so it was worth $300. It's now going to allow me to put 6 figures into a savings account. The company's going to match it, tax free, by the way, or tax deductible because it's coming out of the company, going into my personal account, and I'm using that to buy apartment complexes. That's one thing I learned from this $300 thing that I bought. So that's how I did it. It was a lot of self-education, man. No one is going to educate you. You got to go out and do it. Nobody cares about your money as much as you do. And if you're trusting your money to someone else and you're entrusting your taxes with someone else, you're making a mistake. Because no one is going to do what it takes to save you money. You got to do it yourself. Right? Any questions on anybody else? This cough syrup's got me talking sideways. Any questions from anyone else on credit, taxes, investing, anything else? All right. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did, because I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I hope you have a great night. Remember, if you want a chance of winning some silver, share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. And just when I was almost out, they sucked me back in. Great question, Lawrence. What's my thoughts on indexed universal life policies? Dude, they're awesome. Life insurance is one of the best ways to get money out of your company and not pay taxes on it. I mean, that's such a powerful tool. I looked at a policy, just to give you guys an idea on this, what he's talking about, the universal index funds, life insurance funds. I looked at a policy, it was $10 million, and we'll probably end up doing it in 2018. But it's a life insurance policy on me, basically key man insurance. If something happens to me, company stays afloat, and so we'll say it's $10 million. Fortress is going to get a life insurance policy on me for $10 million. Make sense? Now, what Fortress also does is gets a loan for $10 million. And the loan, and I'm probably messing this up, but this is the way I understand it, is the loan will be immediately paid back through the life insurance policy if something happens to me. So the bank's going to get their money no matter what. Now, we're going to take that $10 million in cash and we're going to buy index funds. So instead of going to work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week for 45 years, and eventually getting $1 million in your bank account, you literally create your company, get $1 million life insurance policy, $1 million line of credit, you write a check for $1 million, you buy $1 million of index funds immediately, and now the company pays X amount of dollars every month towards the policy and the loan, which is tax deductible. Your 401k is not tax deductible, by the way. So you're taking money out of the company, you're putting it in the index funds, in the life insurance, all tax deductible. You let it sit there for 10, 15, 20 years. So you start your retirement out at $1 million or 10 or 50 or whatever. versus $200 a month for 45 years to get to $1 million. You start with $1 million. Now with the index funds, if the market goes down, you get a flat rate, guaranteed rate. If the market goes up, you keep the difference, right? Then, within 5 years to 10 years, there's enough money in there to pay off the original loan, the $1 million loan. So it's about 10 years of you making life insurance policy premiums. 10 years later, you got $1 million in cash. You take that $1 million, you pay off the initial loan. You're now left with $1 million. Now it just grows and keeps growing and growing and growing. Then, here's the best part. Then you pull the money out tax-free. Not tax-deferred, tax-free. What company am I looking at? I'm looking at World Financial Group. That's another MLM. If you guys don't know what to do, join World Ventures if you want to get into stock brokering, mutual funds like what he's talking about. Get in touch with me. I'll get you my link to World Financial Group. I started talking about that. Ed was on a podcast earlier this week with my friend Andy Frisella. But good company. But the slow way to your retirement is to do the 401k, put a couple $100 into stocks and bonds. You lose 70% of it goes to fees. And when you finally retire, you now pay taxes on that retirement. It's ridiculous. Or you do it the fast way with the life insurance and index funds. All right, it's tax-free retirement. Now, here's how it's tax-free. So if you have $1 million.
You know what else is tax-free?
What's tax-free?
Dinner on date night.
Yes.
When it's for biker chicks.
Yes. It's tax deductible.
Oh, okay.
All right, so here's how that works. If you're wanting to know how, hey, could you get some of that for me, please, my beautiful bride?
Do you not hear me coughing?
I heard you coughing.
I feel it.
Yeah. So here's how you write this off. See, when you have a standard 401k, which I don't like, if it's not self-directed, we just set up a 401k for our company and for all the employees, and we're going to allow them to self-direct. So they can invest it with Cardone Capital. They can invest it with Lambeth Capital. They can invest it with Kahuna Investors. They can invest it in Joe Blow's, Bubba Gump Shack, whatever. But with a 401k, yes, you get to put the money in, and it's a tax write-off essentially, right? You can put your 13, 14, 18, whatever the dollar amount is into your 401k.
Here you go, handsome.
And thank you. And in 40 years, when you pull that money out, you got to pay taxes on it. I was actually talking to my mom about this thing yesterday. My mom and her husband just signed up for Social Security. And she was complaining, that's the nice way to say it, about how their whole lives, and they are 65, their whole lives they paid into Social Security. They paid taxes on the money, right? They made $100, 7.5% went into Social Security. They had to pay tax on that $100. But she says, I'm now having to pay taxes on my Social Security. I already paid taxes on that money. I'm like, exactly. You got screwed in the beginning, and you're getting screwed again. Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme on the planet, which is why I don't participate. I do other things, and you should too. If you have your own business, you need to be doing it not as an LLC sole prop, because you are feeding money into that Ponzi scheme. If you do it the right way, you don't have to feed money into Social Security anymore. But most of you are doing it the wrong way, and you're double taxed. But the way these 401ks work is you put the money in, tax deductible, but when you pull it out, you pay taxes on it. And what the government's trying to do is they're figuring, hey, right now, maybe you're a 20% tax bracket, but when you retire and you got millions of dollars in there, you're going to be like 40% tax bracket, and we're going to tax you on the millions, not the 40,000, right? So with 401ks, self-directed IRAs, all that stuff, when you pull the money out, you start paying taxes, which, by the way, is why I believe the real estate market and the stock market will crash in the next 18 months. I've been saying this now almost a year next month. Winter is coming and snowflakes are starting to fall. Financial winter is coming. The only reason it hasn't come yet is because Donald J. Trump is getting everybody all excited. And so it hasn't started crashing. But right now, there are close to 700,000 Americans turning 70 and a half years old. As of January, we will have almost 8 million Americans legally required. Over 8 million Americans legally required by the government to start pulling their money out of the stock market. Now, what happens when people start selling? People freak out and the market crashes. And they're starting to downsize. So they're going to start selling their 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, their big McMansions for little 2-bedroom condos. When that happens, the real estate, the stock market, everything's going to start crumbling down, which is why I say do not buy any real estate right now unless it's multifamily. But back to how this double taxation thing works. So you put your money into your 401k. When you go to pull that money out, you're going to pay taxes on it. With this life insurance that I was talking about earlier, the reason that you can put it in tax-free, tax deductible rather, is because it's an insurance policy. It's not a retirement account. You took out $1 million of life insurance and you took out a loan, and the life insurance is going to pay off the loan if you die. You took that $1 million, you invested it in index funds, which never lose money, done this way, the right way. Instead of going 40 years to save $1 million, you put $1 million in day one, and 10 years later, there's enough money to pay off that loan, and you're still left with $1 million. And you got the life insurance policy. As time goes, and as that money gets bigger and bigger, and when you decide you want to start pulling it out, it's tax-free. See, if you start pulling your money out of your 401k or your IRA, you have to pay taxes on that. And if you pull it out early, there's penalties. With the life insurance policy, the index funds, there's no penalties to pull it out early. You don't have to wait till you're 65 and a half or 70 and a half, 85 when they decide to change it. How? Just what you're thinking, right? You should be. How can you write it off going in and pull it out without paying taxes? Lawrence, you want to tell him? Since you got us going down this rabbit hole. Rich people use this. Every one of my rich friends, they all do it. Generally, I mean, these life insurance policies, index funds, the universal life, it's absolutely amazing what you can do. How do you pull the money out is what you should be asking yourself. Like, how in the hell can you put the money in tax-free, tax deductible, and now you're pulling millions of dollars out and you're not paying any tax? That sounds too good to be true. That's what you should be thinking right now. Here's how you pull the money out. Wait, let's see. Yep. Okay, I thought somebody had the answer, but he didn't have the answer, Jeffrey. I thought you had it. Here's how you pull the money out tax-free. Because you borrow it. You borrow the money. You essentially get a loan. You, in other words, become your own bank. So you're not pulling it out like you would a 401k, which is why the stock market is going to crash, because as of January, we're going to have over 8 million Americans required by federal law that was put in place in 1976 by Richard Nixon, called ERISA, that requires them to pull the money out. If they don't, they're going to get taxed heavily, and they're going to pay penalties, and they're going to lose most of the earnings. So they have to pull it out. We're not withdrawing the money through this life insurance and the index funds. You're getting a loan. That's how you're getting it out tax-free. It's a loan. It's not income. It's a loan. Isn't that cool? Taxes are a big expense in life, and yet most people go through life and don't understand the rules. They get up to bat, they hit the baseball, and they run to third base. And they can't figure out why they can't get ahead. Because you're not playing by the rules. You need to understand the rules to get ahead, to win the game. Why all my rich friends use these policies. You put the money in. There is no limit, by the way, that I know of. Jeffrey, I don't know. Is there a limit to the policy? Because I don't think so, because we're looking at a $100 million one right now. I don't think there's a limit. The limit would be your checkbook on what you can afford to pay. But unlike a 401k, I think the limit's like $18,000 a year, and I think your IRA limit's like $7,500 or $12,000 or something like that. Here's another example of how you can do this. And you can do this with single-family homes, which I don't recommend buying. If you're going to do the real estate game, skip the small deals, go to the big deals. And if you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, you don't have the knowledge, don't do it on your own. Go partner up with me or Grant Cardone or Corey Peterson or whoever. Brad Sumerick, whoever's out there. Partner up, let them do all the work. Give them your money, and you still get a percentage. You still get paid really well. It's just you're not going to get all the gain, but it's better than nothing. It's better than you doing it and screwing it up and losing it all on a condo or a duplex, which most of the time is stupid to buy a duplex, by the way. There's only one exception to that. Well, there's a couple exceptions, but most of the time it's stupid to buy a duplex or fourplex. Nobody wants them. It's kind of like a boat. That's saying the best days when you buy it, the second best days when you sell it. Same thing with the fourplex. Best days when you buy it and you pray every day that you can get rid of it later. But I digress. But you can do the same thing with real estate. You can get the real estate, you can get the multifamily. Robert Kiyosaki talks about it. I don't know if I have one of his books up there. I'm sure I do. He talked about how he wanted a new Porsche. And he was saying he couldn't write it off, which you can write off a Porsche very easily. That's really easy to write off. But he's saying he wanted a new Porsche, but he didn't want to pay for it. Which is fair, right? I want a Ferrari. I don't want to pay for the Ferrari. My wife wants a Bentley. I don't want to pay for the Bentley. So he wanted a Porsche, didn't want to pay for it. So what he did is he bought an apartment complex. And then after a few years, the renters paid down the mortgage, right? Because that's what renters do. They pay down the mortgage. Then he went and got a line of credit against the apartment complex. And then he took that cash out of the apartment complex and he went and paid cash for a new Porsche. And now his renters are paying off the mortgage, the second line of credit, which essentially paid for his Porsche. That's how you can take cash out of your real estate deals without having to pay taxes on it, because it's a loan. It's not a withdrawal. It's not income. It's a loan. So you can do these on your multifamily. And a lot of people do this. They get a couple $1 million property. It's paid down. They now can get a loan against that, put it in their bank account, and now they have money to live on. There's no income tax. This is how the rich continue to get richer and the poor and the middle class stay the same. Why the Rich Get Richer by Corey Peterson. The Secrets to Cash Flow Apartments. Great book. Check it out on Amazon. I read it cover to cover. Friend of mine, good book. And he talks, I don't think Corey talks about index funds or IRS or life insurance stuff in there, but it's just another strategy, just another tool, another arrow in your quiver, right? Any other questions on that? On credit, investing, how to win the silver? Share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. I know today's video is really long, but I'm kind of having a good time. I hope you are. I like sharing this. I like sharing my knowledge with you because not only does it help you, but it helps me learn more, right? Because the more I learn, when I share it with you, I gotta learn it better. I know that's grammatically probably incorrect because that sounded weird, but the name of the book is Why the Rich Get Richer by Corey Peterson. He's an actual personal friend of mine. I met him at CNN when I did an interview at CNN last year. So Why the Rich Get Richer by Corey Peterson. How to invest in real estate. Can I recommend a few books to read about this so I can hammer this into my head? Yeah, let me see, Fred, if I have. I got a couple books up here. Let me see if I got one. There was another question. There's Dave. Dave's always watching. He's always here. And here's Wolfie, Dave's friend. And yes, he was killed legally. There's my federal tag with the number Wolf. Alaskan Wolf. He was killed legally. Don't turn me into the government for killing a wolf. Right here. Here's a good book. Let's see if I got another one up there. There's two of them by David. This one's good too. I know you probably don't like him. Maybe you do. Trump, Think Big and Kick Ass. I pretty much like most of what Trump writes. Some people don't like him, but, you know, he took $1 million, turned it into $4 billion or whatever it is. We don't really know for sure, but this one's good. I'm looking for another one up here. I think there's another one. All right, this one and my all-time favorite, which I think is on this other side, which is really important for you to read, and that is there it is. I just found it. Richest Man in Babylon. Richest Man in Babylon is an incredible book. I read it once a year, and I think it is by far the best financial book ever written, second to the Bible. There's over 4,000 verses in the Bible about money, but some people get offended by the concept of there being a higher power. Get over yourself and read the book because it's awesome. It's got really good life principles in there. Yeah, there's some stuff that people don't like anymore, but from back in the old days. But The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. Richest Man in Babylon is by far, in my opinion, it's the second greatest financial book ever written. And that's why I read it once a year. The Success Secrets of the Ancients. Richest Man in Babylon. If you don't like reading and you have a hard time reading, like my friend Andy Frisella, he reads 10 pages every day. Takes him 1 hour to read 10 pages. I'm a slow reader, and I can read 10 pages in about 6 minutes. I timed myself the other day because I was listening to his podcast. It takes him 1 hour to read 10 pages. So I was like, I wonder how long it takes me. And I was reading a really thick Warren Buffett book And it was hard. It's a hard read, but I did 10 pages in 6 minutes, and I'm a slow reader. But Richest Man in Babylon. But what I was getting at is if you don't like to read, if you're a slow reader like Andy, go to YouTube and type in The Richest Man in Babylon, and there's a dude that reads it for you. It's pretty cool, and it's free, completely free. Another book for you, what's that? Fazile Ladek. I butchered your name, I'm sorry. Related to taxes would be Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant. And Mark J. Kohler just come out with a new book, What Your Tax Attorney Doesn't Tell You, or What Your CPA Doesn't Tell You. So Mark J. Kohler just come out with a new book on taxes. The Tax Retirement by Patrick is a great book. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Darren. Thank you very much. On Universal Life, Tax-Free Wealth. See, I didn't have to do this. You guys are doing it yourself. Yeah, my financial fitness, I have those, and we're going to be running some stuff next month on some coaching. And then this one here. Multifamily Millions. So the guy that wrote this book, Corey Peterson, trained under Dave Lindahl. David Lindahl. Multifamily Millions. He's got a couple books, Dave Lindahl. Give you an idea about Dave. You guys know Uncle G. Uncle G is otherwise known as Grant Cardone. He was here in Vegas a couple days ago. We were supposed to go to a hockey game, but Elena didn't want to go. So Jared and Captain Ryan and Grant, they all did what Elena wanted to do, and they stayed at home. Otherwise, they would have been at the hockey game with us, with Brad. Sweet. But anyway, give you an idea, David Lindahl owns 8,200 doors. So 8,200 doors. Uncle G has 4,000. Kind of gives you an idea of how big David is. He has twice as much as Grant. And Grant is in the $700-800 million range. That's his net worth, supposedly. And who knows, David should be in the billions if he's got twice as much, right? Cool thing with David, with Grant. Actually, with David and with Corey, they have coaching programs. Grant doesn't yet, but I did hear that in February at 10X that he was going to release his own coaching program on how to buy multifamily complexes and duplexes, or multifamily apartment complexes. If you want a chance to win some silver, share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. All of those three things need to happen. If you didn't do it, unfortunately, you will be disqualified from winning some of the silver and at the end of the month, some gold. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of people that have been just sharing the video, which I really appreciate, but they're not tagging anybody and they're not hashtagging a friend, or they just tag their wife and then the wife tags them, or vice versa. And that doesn't, you got to tag somebody other than your significant other. You can't just tag each other every single day. And some people are tagging friends, sharing it, but they're not hashtagging Fortress. And we wanted to see the hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. So share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. Any more questions? See if I can get out this time. I'm having a lot of fun. I really am. I mean, I'm actually enjoying this. I'm surprised that there's so many of you still here with me. Jason is a stickler for the rules. Hey, Jason, man, you don't still have to be here. I really appreciate your dedication, but Go spend some time with your wife and kids. You don't have to still be here. I'm not going to be here much longer. I'm going to take my wife on a date night. We're going to go hang out with some bikers. You know, they say that rule, your net worth is the same as 5 of your closest friends. Something like that, right? Or you're like the 5 people you hang out with the most. And I don't think that's true. It's also like you are what you think about the most. As a man, and all of you on here that are men, if that was true, we wouldn't be a man anymore. But it is important that you do have friends that you hang out with that make more money than you. But, you know, bikers are fun to hang out with too. But they're not the people that I hang out with most of the time, but they are a lot of fun. But here's what Brad Lee says, and I agree with him. And he says it, so I want to give him credit for saying it. And is that you want to be, if you go to these masterminds and these groups, you want to be the dumbest man in the room, and you want to be the poorest man in the room. And when you buy a house in the neighborhood, you don't want to buy the richest or the most expensive house in the neighborhood. You want to buy the cheapest house in the neighborhood. Because it's the other people that bring you up, right? So if you're the dumbest guy in the room, that's cool because they're going to bring you up. If you're the poorest guy in the room, they're going to teach you something to bring you up. And if you buy the cheapest house in the neighborhood, when the rich dude sells his house, your value goes up. They pull you up. You don't want to be the smartest, richest guy in the room. Cheapest house in the nicest neighborhood. Exactly. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And a lot of people have been inviting me to masterminds, and which would be really good for my ego to go in because I'll be the smartest guy in the room on some of these masterminds. But I'm telling them no, because I don't want to be the richest guy in the room. I want to be freaking the poor guy in the room. I'm trying to hang out with billionaires right now, not millionaires. I don't want to hang out with millionaires anymore. I want to hang out with billionaires, right? So think about that. That's some food for thought for you. That if your friends all make 50 grand a year, you gotta get some new friends making 100 grand a year if you want to make 100 grand. Because otherwise you're going to be stuck at that $50,000. Because you guys, $50,000, you think the same way, go to the same place, eat the same food, wear the same clothes, drive the same cars. You need to hang out with some millionaires. And then when you become a millionaire, you need to hang out with billionaires, right? Or people doing $100 million a year. So just some food for thought. That's something I've been thinking about a lot is Brad said the other day on his podcast that he just made this number up, but he basically said, I make $1,000 an hour. You need to start thinking about what you do every day, and would you pay $1,000 for that hour you just spent with someone? So I'm thinking to myself right now, you just spent an hour with me. Would you pay $15? You making $15 an hour? You're making 20? Would you have paid the $20 to spend the hour with me? I hope so. I mean, you spent the hour with me. But if you made $1,000 an hour, would you have just spent the $1,000 with me? Maybe. Maybe there's some advice in there that I gave you regarding taxes about hiring your kids, your grandkids, or going on vacation and turning them into business trips that actually was well worth your time. I hope so. But you got to start thinking that way. You got to start, if you want something different in your life, you got to start thinking different. Right? It all starts up here. You got to start thinking different. Any more questions? Somebody's going to have some sushi. Is that going to be a business dinner or is that a personal dinner? It's important to always do business dinners. 10x your education. That's right. Anything else? Any more questions? Anybody else? I don't want to bore anybody. I did get this cool thing last night from new bracelet dude from, his name is Peter Anthony, made that for me. Actually, he didn't make it for me. He made it and gave it to me yesterday. Guy that I met through Tim Johnson, runs a mastermind with Forbes Riley, a couple other big names. But anyway, I thought this was kind of cool. It's all stones, rocks, and it's all carved. Cool little bracelet thing. Any questions on credit? Currently personal. Okay, well, you can change that personal to business at some point. You can't write off every single dinner, but you can write off most of them. I'm going to Tahoe tomorrow, and I got my house up there, and I'm going to go get some bunk beds, put them in a room that used to be my office, and turn it into a Airbnb vacation rental since I'm spending so much time here. And I know that sounds crazy. People are like, how can you rent out your house? How can you do that? I can do it because they pay me $1,000 a night. That's how I can do it. $1,000 a night. Took that liability. Everybody thinks their house is an asset. It ain't no asset. It's a liability. It's taking money out of my pocket every month. But as of Christmas Eve, it will be an asset because it's going to start putting money in my pocket at $1,000 to $1,200 every single night. And that baby will be rented a lot because my neighbor charges $2,000 a night, $1,800 to $2,500 depending on the day. I'm going to be doing it at $1,000 to $1,200 a night, half of what the neighbor charges. And the house is not half as small, but it does sleep less than his. But his is only rented 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 nights a month, where I want mine rented 20 to 30 days a month, right? And then I'm going to take that cash and use it to go buy an apartment complex or pay off the loans. I only have a $300,000 loan on the house, so it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, houses are made to house people, not for emotions. Yeah, I know people are like, they're attached to it. I'm not attached to anything, really. Any material stuff. As a kid growing up, no running water, no electricity, eating out of a dumpster. We were the poor people that people brought us Christmas presents for Christmas. And my stepdad was such an asshole. He would have us open the presents and then give them away to people who deserved the presents. Such an asshole. So I don't really get attached to anything material. I don't care. Take it all away. It's all good. Leave me with the phone and I'll just start all over. It's all good. Any questions? Credit related. How to increase your credit score. How to pay less taxes. How to write off your dinners. Your vacations. Your cell phone. This cell phone right here is, I can't believe how long this battery's lasted. Brand new though. How to write off your cell phone bill every month. You can do that if it's through the business. How to write off your vacations. How to write off wine. You know, Gary Vee took his family business. I think they were doing $5 million a year. He took it to $50 million a year, doing a video podcast every day, a vlog on wine, sampling it, tasting it, rating it. If you're a wine connoisseur, which I'm not, you can write off wine. I write it off all the time. The other night, we went to dinner with the guy that flew in his Gulfstream 450. Had a couple bottles of wine, wrote the whole thing off. I didn't. He actually wrote it off because he paid for the wine, he paid for the dinner, he paid for everything, which was kind of cool. Again, I'm not trying to hang out with millionaires anymore. I'm hanging out with billionaires. How do I write off the internet bill? Oh, that's easy. I need a new phone. How can I write off purchase? Yeah, it's simple. Those are great questions. How do you write off the internet? Well, in my Office, it's super easy. It's office, it's business expense. But I think what you mean is how do you write off your internet at home? Really simple, you get a home office. So you create an LLC, taxes and S Corp, you fill out your form 1120S or whatever it's called now, and you write off a portion of the rent, the electricity, the garbage bill, the landscape bill, the plumber, the dude that I write off the guy that cleans my pool. I write off the guy that mows my lawn. I write off the girl who cleans my house. I'd write off the guy that picked up the dog poop, but my wife won't let me hire someone to do that. But the way you write that off is you create a business and you have a personal home expense. So my friend Benji Bruce, I was over at his condo the other day. Jason, don't write me off. I do write you off, Jason. What are you talking about? I'm at Benji's place. Beautiful, beautiful condo. It's 2,000 square foot. About 1,600 square foot of it is a studio that he uses to make a couple $1 million a year. Tell me that's not a write-off. Yeah, it's rent, but his internet is included in it, and that's how he's making his money, is through taking his condo and turning it into a studio, and that's how he writes it off. You want to see an example? I'll share an example with you right now. So this is my home office. It's kind of hard to argue that I don't use this for my office. You ready? I'm going to switch this over so you can see it. All right, so you can't see anything over there. Wait for it. This is my studio, which is right next to my office. There's the lights. Here's the teleprompter. There's the monitor. There's the 4K camera that records everything. The microphone. There's our little clicker thing, Ready, set, action. Or I guess maybe they do cut. I don't know. But all this stuff, here's the desk where the computer goes. But this is a legitimate office space, right? It's a legitimate office. That's how you write off your internet. Is you put in a studio or you put in an office. You use a portion of your house for your business. I mean, you don't have to go put, that big studio in there and do all that. You could just simply put a portion like Benji did. Is one room is his white room. The other one is green screen. And so it's basically, he doesn't have locked doors. It's like the whole thing. That's how you write off your internet, is you use your home for business. You can start your business at home. Microsoft did. Apple did. First Form, my buddies, starting a garage, $100 million a year now. All the good companies, they start in garages. Sometimes not even their garage. I think Steve Jobs started in his parents' garage or something. Any other questions on how to write stuff off? It is Birdie. Jason Green painted that wall green. Right? Anything else? Is there a cap on the square footage you can write off? No, there's no cap. No. My friend Benji, for example, his condo apartment, I think, is like 3,000 square foot. I can't remember, but we added up, and he's going to write off 70% of it. The only thing he can't write off is his bedroom because there's no business stuff in there. But if he was using his bedroom to make videos, then he could write that off. There's no limit here's the key to writing it off is you can write off the hallway from the front door to your business, whether it's another bedroom or in the middle of the living room, and to the bathroom, because all businesses are legally required to have a bathroom. So at my house in Tahoe, the whole bottom half is my office, and then the stairs going up to the second floor to the bathrooms all right off, and then to the door. So all of that's right off, even though that's not my office, but legally you have to have a bathroom in an office. So you can write off all that square footage. So there's no limit. It doesn't matter how small. And what you do is you need to draw it out. You need to figure out the square footage of the office, the square footage of the overall space, and what that percentage is. And then you can write off 70, whatever the percentage is. So in Benji's case, it was like 70, 80% was office. So now he can write off 70% of the rent, 70% of electricity, 70% of the internet, 70% of the toilet paper, 70% of the HOA fees, 70% of the water bill, so on and so forth. You just got to figure out your percentage. If your apartment's 688 square feet, well, you're probably going to write off the majority of everything on that. Here's a good question. Fastest way to increase your credit score. The fastest way to increase your credit score. That's a great question. And that is a really easy question to answer. And I appreciate the fact that you asked it. The fastest way to increase your credit score is to get 3 credit cards as fast as possible. Doesn't have to be American Express. Doesn't have to be American Airlines Black Card. You need 3 credit cards at all times. That's the fastest way to increase your credit score. If you don't have 3 credit cards. What if you already have 3 credit cards? Well, how much do you owe on those credit cards? The fastest way to increase your credit score, if you have credit cards and you owe more than 10% on those credit cards, the fastest way to be pay off those credit cards. That's it. Pay them off. But the fastest way to increase your credit score has to do with credit cards every single time. Either you need to get them or you need to pay them off. That's it. You can call and ask your creditors for an increase, but if you have a low credit score, that's a great comment, Lawrence. I appreciate it. But if you have a low credit score, they may or may not increase your credit limit because you have a poor credit score. It's like this catch-22. What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the credit score or the credit card? Well, it's really hard to have good credit without a credit card, but it's hard to get good credit cards without having a credit score. So it's like back and forth. That's why the secured cards sometimes are the way to go. You get the secured cards to get the credit score so you can get the unsecured credit cards so you can get rid of the secured credit cards. But many times if your credit cards are maxed out, it's going to lower your credit score, and they're not going to want to increase your credit score or increase your credit limit because your cards are maxed out and you have a low credit score. Fastest way to increase your credit score? Credit cards every single time. My credit score is 800 and Bank of America would not increase it to 10K. Here's why. Well, I haven't seen your credit, so I can only guess why. Here's my guess. The reason they would not increase your credit limit to 10,000 is because you don't have any other credit cards that are 10,000. Or
the credit card that you have with Bank of America doesn't have the ability to go to above 10,000. So there are certain cards that they won't give it to you. I'll give you a good example. Back when I had bad credit 10 years ago, when I started the company, first thing I did is I got a card, and it was for First Progress or First Premier. I can't remember now. And I started out with a $300 credit limit. The application was $300. So when I got it, I had a $300 balance on a $300 credit card, which drove my credit score even lower because now it's maxed out on a brand new credit card. I paid it off, my credit score went up a little bit. I had that credit card up until July of 2017, and the most I ever, and I used to call all the time, I stopped after a while, but the most I ever got that credit limit up to was $1,000. $1,000. I had the card for almost 10 years. It was like 9.5 years when I finally canceled it. $1,000. It doesn't matter what I said, how high my credit score was, how much money I made, they would never increase me over $1,000. Ever. Why? Because of the type of card it was. It was a high risk, low credit limit card. Didn't matter what I did, they would never raise that limit. At the same time, I had this bad boy. This card has no limit. I can go buy a jet with this card. I could buy an apartment complex with this card. I could buy anything I wanted with this card. But at the same time, I couldn't get over $1,000 with the other card. My Home Depot card, $1,000 credit limit. That's it. That's all I can spend at Home Depot, $1,000. And I've had that account since 2012. I could go buy the house in Tahoe with that card. But I could only spend $1,000 at Home Depot to repair that house. So it has more to do, potentially it has more to do with the card that you have and not necessarily your credit score. So my recommendation is get a different credit card. And that is your next question is, which credit cards are good? My favorite credit card to have as a consumer, not necessarily a business owner that travels a lot, would be the Capital One Venture card and the Chase Freedom card. I have a Chase Freedom card, and I don't have any more Capital One cards because they closed them back in July because I was using them way too much. 2% cash back, 2% points on everything, and we were running hundreds of thousands of dollars a month through it. And they decided that they were tired of giving me all of those rewards on a personal card that I was running as business. So I like Capital One Venture if it's a personal. If you're not running your business on it, you're going to get limit. I think my limit went to $100,000 on my Capital One. That was the most they would ever give me, whereas that card is no limit. So Capital One's great. Chase Freedom is a really cool card for personal. And it's 2% cash on everything, up to 5%. I got a thing today, it was 10% at Walmart, but I'd have to go to Walmart and deal with mall Martians to get the 10%, which sometimes is not worth it. Is it worth getting a credit card just for the points? Yeah. Oh, wait. Is it worth getting the credit cards for points and then shutting it down? No. That will destroy your credit score. If you get in a card, you get the points and you cancel it, the banks know what you're doing, right? Don't you think the banks kind of have this whole money thing figured out? What'll happen is if you get that credit card and you take the points, you redeem the points and you close the card, you just gave them the middle finger. And what the banks are going to do and what they've done, listen to Lawrence. I say this all the time. Never, ever close a credit card. The only exception to that rule is if you have one of these and your annual fee is $550 and you can't afford it. You probably shouldn't have the card in the first place if it's not business, but that's the only reason you'd ever want to close the card is because the annual fee is so high that it's costing you too much. But if you go and get that card and then you cancel it, dude, they're going to hammer you on your credit score. Your average length of credit history will decrease and you will see a 25-point drop or more. It's going to destroy you. That's why this whole thing with Ty Lopez, a little 19, 20-year-old boy that says he's got $3 million in credit limits with 220 different credit cards, and he's done it in less than a year with no job at 19 years old. That's why I say bullshit. It just, the banks aren't going to put up with that crap. So they're going to punish you. Best Buy and Amazon, here's why I got the Home Depot card. And I think where you're going with this question, I think it's a great question. When I got my Home Depot card, at the time I had this. I could buy pretty much everything in the Home Depot on that card. Why would I want a Home Depot card? Well, the reason is with the Home Depot card, at the time I was remodeling my house up in Tahoe, was if I had the card and I paid, if I showed the card and then paid cash with that card, I got 10% off everything I bought. So I didn't care if the credit limit was $1,000 because I would show the Home Depot card and pay with this and get 10% off the $15,000 in granite that I just bought or whatever I was buying. That's why I got the $1,000 credit card. So to answer your question, is it worth it to get the points? Maybe. But don't just go and cancel the card because it's not going to work. If it's not saving you a bunch of money, it's probably not worth it long term because it's going to lower your credit score, so it's probably not worth it long term for the points. If it's a little bit of points, like if you were at Kohl's and they said, "Hey, if you apply for a Kohl's card, we'll give you $10 off your $20 purchase." It's not worth the inquiry for $10. If you're at Home Depot or Lowe's and we'll give you 10% off your $15,000 granite remodel, yeah, maybe it's worth it, but don't close that account. Leave it open. Leave it open. One of the things I do with the Home Depot now is I add people to it as an authorized user. Yeah, it's only a $1,000 limit, but all of my history over the last 5 years will show up on that person's credit report. So my clients that need that history, like the guy that I talked to this morning, all of his credit cards are less than a year old. I could add him to my Home Depot, which is 5 years old, which will raise his average length of credit history, which will raise his credit score up to 75 points. Great question. Anybody else? Any other questions on credit cards, utilization rate? Never cancel a credit card. Yes, Lawrence, they canceled my Capital One card. I think it was the millions of dollars in rewards and the points that they just didn't like it. There's some more backstory to why they even found out about me, but that's for another video. But it was a good card. It's a great card. And I might get another one, but I'm really happy with my Chase Freedom card because the Capital One was great for the redeeming the airlines and stuff. And it actually gave me more points than this card does. This is at 1% to 1.5%, where Capital One was 2% no matter what. The problem with Capital One is I had a limit, and how much we were spending on Facebook ads and other things was more than my limit. And so what was happening is I was having to pay off my credit card every few days, even though it was a $100,000 credit limit. I was constantly having to pay it off, but it also showed up on my personal credit score, which then it was this juggling act. So when they canceled it, it really wasn't that. I wasn't that heartbroken because it just forced me to use that card all the time. And this doesn't show up on my personal credit. So if I go spend $1 million in 1 month, it doesn't show up on my personal credit report anywhere. It's strictly business card. Awesome. Thank you so much for that kind comment. I don't even want to butcher your name, but I'm going to. Faisal. I guess I could go either way, right? Thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully someone shared the video and that's how you found me. And that is how you get a chance of winning some silver. Share the video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. Kimberly, cousin Kimberly, did you see you won some silver today? How long does it take your credit to increase 100 points? That's a great question. It could take 1 day. It could take 10 years. That is a baited question, Lawrence. It just depends on what caused it to go down 100 points. Did it go down 100 points because you maxed out your credit card and the next day you paid it off and then they reported it? Boom. It's back, right back. So it depends on that. Fortress like a castle. Kimberly, you won some silver. What do you want? You shared the video with your hubby, who had never, we weren't friends, and so you won. I did have to disqualify your hubby, because after you shared the video with him, he shared it with you, so he did not get into the drawing today for the silver, but you won, Kimberly. Hello, I shared the video, but does the couch auction start? Every day I'm giving away silver. So if you share today's video, tag a friend, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. Not tomorrow, but on Monday, I will announce the winners of today's video. And then you can do that as many times as you want. So if you win, like my cousin Kimberly just won today, which was really cool to see, she can share today's video, hashtag someone other than her husband, and share it, hashtag Fortress Credit Pro, and share it with someone other than her husband because she shared it with him yesterday. That's why she won today. So as long as you tag a new friend, you can do as many times as you want. When do we know if we win the couch? What couch? The silver? I don't have a couch that I'm giving away. If you don't pay your taxes 1 or 2 years, is there an expiration date when the IRS can come after you? That is a great question for an attorney. I think I know the answer to that. I will tell you I'm not an attorney. I do work on a lot of cases with attorneys on taxes. I believe it's 4 years, but if they believe that there's fraud, I think it waives the 4-year statute. That's what I think the law is, but you need to talk to an attorney. Usually I have some attorneys that are on, but since today I've gone so long that they're long gone. But I believe, Rich, it's 4 years. And then if they believe you did something fraudulently, as in tax evasion, I don't think there's a limit. I think they can go back probably till the day you were born and you're issued a Social Security number because maybe you popped out of the womb like Warren Buffett and you started a business right away and started making money eventually. Here for the couch. I don't know what you're talking about. The couch. What couch? You guys keep talking about the couch. I have no idea what you're talking about with a couch. I don't know what you're talking about with the couch. You guys are messing with me. If you want to win the silver, tag a friend. You can enter as many times as you want every day. You just have to tag a new friend each time.
Is this what they were talking about on the couch?
I don't know with Sawyer. Tag a friend. Hashtag Fortress Credit Pro and share the video. We're promised a couch auction. You guys are crazy. We could melt the silver on, maybe on your couch, Jason. I don't want to melt silver on my couch.
What kind of funky juice is Jason drinking tonight?
The couch. I guess I'm going to start playing with the couch. The couch. It's funny. Kimberly,
We have to be there in an hour.
you won. What kind of coin do you want, Kimberly? Do you want the Methuselah coin?
That one's cool.
That was really cool. And the back is silver bullet silver. And then we got this lady, sic semper tyrannis. This chick is standing over some dude with a spear through his heart. We have Don't Tread on Me. Don't Tread on Me with the snake. That was pretty cool. We have the three-headed pit bull. We have a prospector for Grant County. Now they're talking about sectionals. You guys are crazy. Good thing I'm not driving, trying to distract me. You know what? Maybe we'll go throw some of these coins on the couch. This is the Freedom with Methuselah's head. And then this is the prospector. Kimberly, I think you should get the prospector. The reason that I like the prospector, there's a couple reasons. One, it was the mascot for my high school. And two, both of my grandfathers were gold miners and prospectors. Both of them had gold mines up until the day that they passed away. So this picture kind of looks like Grandpa Merle, Kimberly. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a Grandpa Merle coin. They weren't mining for silver, but they're mining for gold. So I like that. And then we have the four-headed pit bull or three-headed pit bull, if you can see that. And then this is kind of like the dude with the bear thing on it. Oh, cool. Okay. So yeah, I'll make sure that Jason sends you this is like my Grandpa Merle, the prospector. And then on the back also, Kimberly, is a bunch of cool mining stuff on the back. So I'll make sure you get the prospector coin. All these couch things. It's so funny.
It's time to wrap it up.
All right, the wife is saying time for date night. So we are on our way to
A biker chick Christmas party.
a biker chick Christmas party. Pray for me.
Oh, shush.
Pray for me.
We're all badass. What are you talking about? Pray for you.
All right, have an awesome, awesome Saturday. I really, really appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I hope you enjoyed receiving what I was giving out. And the wife does come with the couch. The dog does not come with the couch. How many biker chicks can I fit on the couch? That's going to be some fun. You guys are awesome. Everyone, what's the most expensive coin I own? I think the most expensive coin I own, I lost yesterday. I think I dropped it. That would be a 1 ounce gold coin. I'm hoping I put it back in the safe. I don't remember putting it back in the safe, but I had taken it out to show you, and it wasn't in my pocket this morning. So I'm afraid that it might have fell out on Fremont Street last night, hanging out with Tony Shea, CEO of Zappos. So I should check the couch. Maybe it fell out of my pocket, fell into the couch. No, that's the most expensive would be the gold coins. I did just get this one. I haven't shared this with anybody yet. This is a silver coin with a gold elephant on the inside. It's in a protective case. This is the African wildlife elephant, 1 ounce of silver and a gram of gold. It's kind of cool. It looks like a pig. No, it's an elephant. I like elephants. I kind of relate with elephants. They're bigger than most of the other animals. They're smart. They're sensitive. They have very thick skin. You know, someone the other day asked me if he offended me. I'm like, dude, there ain't no way you offended me. I got thick skin. But elephants are bigger than everybody. They're smart. They're sensitive. They have very thick skin. The other thing with elephants that I relate with, they never forget. They're forgiving. They're forgiving animals. But they never forget. And if you piss off an elephant, don't want to be in front of an elephant when you piss them off. Right? That's why I relate to the elephant. So it's kind of cool. All right. I got to take my wife to a biker party. And I'll let you know how many biker chicks we can fit on a couch. Unfortunately, my wife is the exception. But most of the biker chicks are a little bigger than a normal chick. So there'll be less biker chicks that can fit on a couch than your normal chick, if you know what I mean. My wife being the exception to that rule. Shoe on head first, please. I don't know what that means, but shoe on the head first. Okay. All right, I got to go. I'm being silly. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And please, if you can, I give you this information for free, and I'm trying to spread the word and spread the wealth. Share the video, tag a friend, and hashtag Fortress Credit Pro. Be great.